Here at Bristol, it is time for cricket, live women's international T20 cricket, the third and final match between England and India's women. It is a decider. Both sides have won one game going into this one. England winning by 9 wickets at Chester Street on Saturday. India levelling the series with an 8-wicket win at Derby a couple of nights ago. England have won the toss. They've elected to have a bowl first. I will go through the two teams shortly, but I'm very pleased to say alongside me is a World Cup winner, a former Wisden Cricketer of the Year as well, retired these days though from international duty. Anya Shrubsole, lovely to see you.
Good evening.
What are we expecting then? Two games that have been dominant equally, if you like, but in opposite directions. It's been quite a strange series, really. Yeah,
it's been a really strange series. India didn't really turn up at Durham. They didn't think the conditions were favourable for playing, and they kind of played like that as well, and then they turned that around brilliantly at Derby the other day. So it's all set up nicely here. I'd love a close game. That's what I'm hoping for. We've had 2 thumping wins. Would absolutely love a close game.
Yeah, well, that's been the story of it, hasn't it? With the side chasing, getting there pretty comfortably. In the 2 chases we've seen, only 3 wickets have fallen. So England do, in theory, have that advantage having won the toss.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see them bat first the other day. It's the middle of September. You'd expect it gets cold in the evenings. You'd expect the kind of dew to come down later on in the game, which generally speaking makes it easier to bat, and it certainly looked like that at Derby. The ball slid onto mainly the middle of Smriti Mandana's bat pretty easily.
It felt that way, and someone you know well, Smriti Mandana, from playing together at the Western Storm. When she gets going like that, it can become quite a force of nature.
Yeah, without a doubt, and it's so easy on the eye to watch as well. That's the thing. She hits sixes at ease, but it really doesn't look like she's hitting the ball at all. And unfortunately for England, they came on the wrong side of her the other day. So she'll be someone they need to get rid of early. I think as well, getting rid of Smriti Mandana early, it brings Sophie Ecclestone into the game. She, as good as Sophie Ecclestone is, she isn't as good against left-handers, and England have always been trying to hold her back until Smriti's out, and they haven't managed that particularly well, so they'll be desperate to get her wicket early today.
England make a change, both sides make a change, but let's go through that England 11 then. Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley open the batting. Alice Capsey is at 3. Amy Jones captains the side and keeps wicket at 4. Then it's Bryony Smith, Maya Bouchier, Freya Kemp fresh from that 50. Aged just 17 years old. What an innings it was at Derby. Then Sophie Ecclestone. Izzy Wong comes into the side in place of Lauren Bell, Sarah Glenn and Freya Davies. So that is the England side. Izzy Wong for Lauren Bell is the one change, Anya. Is that a surprise?
It's a little bit of a surprise. I think they're probably still quite a young England attack. I think they're looking to kind of interchange them quite a lot throughout the series, try and get them games, get them experience. I think in what was probably not the best bowling performance, I thought Lauren Bell was probably the standout bowler for England. So I imagine there's a really quick turnaround for the ODI, so I imagine there's kind of half an eye towards that ODI series and a chance to see what Izzy Wong can do. So I'd imagine it's more that than we don't think you've bowled very well, you're dropped. I think that's just what we're going to see from England through the ODIs as well. Well,
here come the two sides led by the umpires. We will, ahead of this match, as we have seen prior to other games in the last week, have a minute's silence prior to play. So here comes the Guard of Honour, and the match officials and teams through that Guard of Honour, followed by the management and reserve players standing on the boundary edge. And following that, we will have the national anthem, God Save the King, around this venue. I can see the England side in red with the dark bottoms, and then the India team in that royal blue with the top 3 there already padded up. Smriti Mandana and Shefali Verma will be heading to the middle shortly, but first of all, it's time for the two sides to pay their respects to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
The England and Wales Cricket Board and Gloucestershire County Cricket Club are deeply saddened and shares the sorrow of the nation at the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Her Majesty the Queen and her late husband, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, both have a long history of supporting cricket and England's national sides. We recognise her immense contribution to the nation across the Commonwealth and around the world. For those who are able, please be upstanding to observe a minute's silence in memory of Queen Elizabeth II. Thank you. Please remain upstanding for the national anthem, God Save the King.
God Save the King, sung by the England side and all those able to stand around the ground. There's a good crowd in. 5,000 tickets sold according to Neil Prescott, who runs things around here. There has been some road closures up at the Ashdown end of the ground, so it might be a little sparse in some areas until that traffic clears at that particular entrance to the ground, but I can see two umpires heading to the middle, Sue Redfern and Paul Pollard. They are waving presumably to the scorers, but I like to think to you and me, Anya.
I think it almost certainly was. They didn't wait for us to wave back though.
They didn't.
Rude,
I know. I was ready to wave and see if I could get another wave back, but there we go. The floodlights are shining, blue skies in the main overhead, and we've got the England fielders just off the edge of the field, ready to return back out there in a moment. I posed to you prior to coming on air who had the record wickets figures. I'm going to say that again. Who had the best figures in T20 internationals in the women's game at this venue? Who do you reckon it might be?
I still don't
Who did
know.
you guess? I can't remember.
Well, I thought it was Maddie, but then I actually
You didn't guess yourself because you're far too modest for that. It is someone playing in this game.
My next best guess is Sophie Eccleston.
Nope.
Is it an England player?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Can't be many bowlers left in that England side. Sarah Glenn.
Nope.
List some more bowlers. Freya Davies.
No.
Izzy Wong.
No.
Bryony Smith. Alice Capsey. Danny Wyatt.
Yes. Bingo.
Danny Wyatt used to have a golden arm. Her
Yeah.
T20 bowling record is quite remarkable, really.
She got 3 for here. Back in the days when she used to bowl a lot more. The ball, here we go. This is an innovation I've not seen up to this point. Do you remember in the Euros last year, the match ball got delivered on the back of a car? Well, it's happening in the cricket.
Love it.
A radio-controlled car is delivering the match ball out to the middle, picked up by Paul Pollard. It's bright pink and it's on its heels, and it appears to be driven by a dog as it heads away to the boundary edge. It's a rather surreal start to things as a group of young supporters all in the yellow of Gloucestershire over to our right, finding their seats, and here comes Amy Jones leading the England side at the back of the procession of those in red and blue. Izzy Wong, who comes into the side in place of Lauren Bell. Smriti Mandana joins Shafali Verma out in the middle. Mandana having played a brilliant hand the other day. That innings that she played, unbeaten, it looked absolutely easy as you like once she got going, and to score 79 not out in a T20 is going some.
She just scores effortless runs. She's someone she can hit both sides of the ground. If you slightly over pitch, she hits you back down the ground over the top, and then you dare to drop a fraction short and she's pulling you and cutting you away. So your margin for error against her when she's hitting the ball like that is so small, and she showed every bit of her class the other day.
We're going to see Bryony Smith opening the bowling, so a little bit of spin first up, which is an intriguing approach from England, looking to try and see Shafali Verma or Smriti Mandana miss time one up in the air, I imagine, is the plan.
It's obviously a bit of a change of plan from England, starting with spin. They've started with Lauren Bell in both of the games so far, and she's obviously not playing in this game, so they're I'm guessing they're hoping off spin to the left-hander, if there is any turning away from the bat, and see how we go.
Here comes Bryony Smith, 43 on her back, and she runs in, and it's defended. Into the offside it goes, and there is no run. All of the players with black armbands on both sides. And Amy Jones standing up to the stumps. The stand-in England captain hops from one foot to the other to keep warm as Smith is in. Forward comes Mandana. Could be a stumping, and I think Jones has somehow missed the stumps or lost the ball or something, but it probably should have been a wicket.
Absolutely should have been. Looks like it's a little bit of extra bounce from Smith, but Amy Jones, as good as she is, should be taking that, and that should be bounced a lot, shoulder high.
She almost caught it in the grill of her helmet as Bryony Smith comes in again. Verma hits the ball back to her, and it's almost into the hands. A dive from Freya Davis is in vain over the ball, and she relies on Sophie Eccleston backing up to pick up behind her.
It's all happening. It's all happening in the first 3 balls. Not a lot of spin on offer, more with that new ball. Bryony to the right-hander, she does sometimes tend to slide the ball past the outside edge like she did second ball to Shefali Verma, and England will be hoping that life doesn't cost them too much.
Well, it was hit hard, that is for sure. Smith bowling to Mandana with a formidable record, 1750s she's made in T20 international cricket. This is down the leg side. Paul Pollard will stretch his arms out, and wide is signal. It's quite a chilly night out there, and umpire Pollard has quite a large collection of various bits of red clothing from Bryony Smith. Hat, jumper, hanging out the back of his trousers. This is again a little leg side-ish, and she's missed out there. Mandana looking to work that ball away, only finds the hands of Izzy Wong at square leg. So 2 without loss is the score. 2 balls left of this first over.
It's been an eventful start. It seems like it's all happened, and the net result is 2 runs off 4 balls so far.
Mandana waiting as Bryony Smith round the wicket. Ball's tossed up, clipped into the leg side. They'll run through for 1. The throw comes in from the enthusiastic Izzy Wong, who was a guest on the Tail Enders podcast that you can find on BBC Sounds. She is quite a character, Anya.
She absolutely is, and it's just a lot of fun to watch her play cricket, the way she goes about it. She's very entertaining to watch.
Bryony Smith in then to bowl to Shefali Verma. Loopy delivery, clipped up the ground, bring just a single, and that's an over England will be pretty satisfied with. I think India just 4 without loss after 1. And the first 6 overs, the power play overs, that's when a side really looks to accelerate. And just 4 from the first one is a pretty good return for this not makeshift opening bowler, but certainly unexpected opener bowler.
It is a good start, but it could have been even better with the mis-stumping second ball of the game. Like I said, you just hope that doesn't come back to bite them. Shefali Verma is a very dangerous player. She showed glimpses of that in the first couple of games without really going on. So England will hope that they get another chance that they can take here.
Freya Davis then becoming a increasingly regular figure in this England side. She's had to be patient. There have been others that have been ahead of her in selection prior to retirement. No names mentioned necessarily. As Davis at the far end, the Ashley Down end of the ground, is going to run in and bowl past umpire Sue Redford to the right-handed Verma. There's a slip crouching, and that's a swing and a miss. A good bit of away shape there from Davis, who is getting that ball moving. Yeah,
really nice shape. Swings the ball away from the right-hander. England have got that slip in place. Shefali Verma opting not to have a look and see what it's doing.
She's not far from...
I think it'd have gone for 6 if she'd have got it.
Yeah. She wouldn't have needed to have got all of it either. The bat speed was ferocious. Here comes Davis again. She has got some of this. It's been spooned up in the air. It's going to drop safely though. There's fielders in pursuit in the form of Capsey and Wong running around from deep third. And 2 runs are taken. It was a mighty swing that found the outside edge and went miles in the air and then landed behind square on the offside.
Imagine that's one of the things that can be quite frustrating about Shafali Verma. She's so talented, she's got such a good eye, but she has times where she just looks like she swings quite randomly. You think if she could just be a little bit more selective every now and then, she would be such a dangerous player.
Verma waiting. Davis bowls, and there is a little show of restraint as it's pushed back towards the bowler. It was at this ground she so nearly got 100 on Test debut last year. A marvellous battle between she and Catherine Brunt.
Yeah, it was almost like a mini game within a game, really, when those two went at it, and saw some of the biggest celebrations from Catherine you could wish to see, I think.
Yes, she didn't hold back. Certainly. Here comes Davis again. Right arm over. That skews away off the outer half of the bat, down to Wong once more. And 7 without loss is the score. Still waiting for a first boundary for this India side.
It looks like there's some decent carry, some decent pace in this wicket so far. I saw that one from Bryony Smith, an off spinner, kind of getting up to Jones' kind of shoulder height. And I think that makes for a good cricket wicket. I think there'll be something in it for the bowlers if they get it right, but I think if you get it slightly wrong with that pace and with that bounce, I think it will race away here across the square in particular.
So 2 fielders in the deep, behind square, deep third and fine leg. As Davis, tall figure, bounds in once more, slightly angled approach. Mandana driving crisply towards the covers, but well stopped by tumbling Dunkley. And so far just 3 off this over from Freya Davis. What are the plans bowling in power plays in T20? Because you've done an awful lot of it, and you've taken more wickets for England than anyone else in T20 cricket.
Not sure I have anymore. I think Catherine Brunt, she's nabbed it.
So rude, honestly.
Outrageous.
Absolutely outrageous. In comes Davis to Mandana, swivels, pulls the ball away. There will be 4 runs. Lovely piece of timing from Smriti Mandana, just helping it on its way round the corner. And 11 without loss is the score after 2 overs. So yeah, well, what are you thinking?
I think different bowlers will have different plans. I think it's really important, it's becoming even more important that you try and take wickets, particularly in those first kind of 3 overs of the power play, because that's where you can, I guess, really stem the flow of runs towards the back end of the power play. I think for teams, I guess it showed in Derby, India were kind of none down after 4 overs, and that means you can go so hard at those last 2 overs of the power play, and they can be really profitable for a batting side. So you've got to be thinking wickets, absolutely. I think then if you're bowling at the back end of the power play and a team is none down, you've probably got to be a bit more defensive with your field settings, because you know that team's coming at you. So everyone will have different ways that they go about that. It's just finding what works for you.
Here comes Izzy Wong then, running in past the umpire. She's into the side today and bowling to Shafali Verma, who's deep in the crease, pushing towards Bouchier with the long blue tubey grips on each arm, fielding at mid-wicket. As a gull kind of lazily soars above the ground and threatens those below in the stand to our right. Wong walks back towards us, the bleach blonde hair, and now begins the charge into bowl to Verma, who's nudging that ball into the offside, and there it'll be fielded at backward point. There is no run.
It's a really good line to Shafali Verma. She really wants to stay leg side of the ball to kind of give herself room to hit the ball on the offside or the leg side, and you've almost off stump can be too wide to her sometimes. Izzy Wong, those first 2 balls, has been kind of over the top of middle stump, leg stump, and really cramped her up for room.
Wong to bowl to Verma. This is in the air, could be a chance. No, it drops just short of Dunkley, who was running in from extra cover and for a moment thought about putting in the dive and thought better of it. I think probably sensibly, because that I don't think would have been one that she could have got to. It was a slower ball from Wong, who just rolled the fingers over it. And the ball dropped short of Dunkley, but it was not a controlled stroke, I think it's fair to say. Verma's looking at the replay.
She goes really deep in her crease, almost expecting that short ball, but just didn't quite connect with it.
Izzy Wong again. That's on the pads. Oh, Boulder! The ball strikes the toe and then goes onto the stumps. I think the leg stump's been hit, and Izzy Wong strikes to remove Shafali Verma. 2 of the game's brightest young stars up against each other, and it's Izzy Wong who gets the wicket. Verma gone, 5 from 12, and India 11 for 1.
What a start from Izzy Wong. I think knuckleball we see on the screen there, it's come out, it's swung it, almost swung in, and I mean, that's impressive. Her front foot is on the wide line outside leg stump. It's hit that front pad and somehow found its way back onto the stumps. Quite remarkable, really. She couldn't do that if she tried.
No, that would have been, had Verma stood still, that would have been signalled wide and probably would have gone down to the boundary for 5 wides as well. But somehow she's managed to, she's almost sort of like Lionel Messi, flick round the corner.
Skillful, actually.
It's a lovely touch.
Great touch. Unfortunately, unfortunately for Shafali Verma, back onto her stumps.
We see the replay now. Oh, look at that.
It's unlucky. It is unlucky, to be fair. But that's what I talked about. Shafali Verma wants to say leg side of the ball. Izzy Wong it's a knuckleball. It's a really hard ball to bowl. It's kind of followed her, hit the pad and onto leg stump.
When you say knuckleball, talk us through what
so
that
normally
means.
You have the ball, I guess, how to describe it. I'll carry on after this ball.
Here comes Wong bowling to Meghana, who's in at 3 and defending.
So ordinarily, if you're holding it for a normal delivery, the ball kind of rests between your thumb underneath the ball and then your second and your third finger on top of the ball, and it just kind of rests like that. When you bowl a knuckleball, you kind of bend your second and your third finger, and almost your fingernails are touching the back of the ball. So you've got quite a loose grip on the ball, and therefore it comes out so much slower.
Meghana waits, right-hander, as Wong is bowling. It's too quick for Meghana, who's struck high up on the thigh. And Izzy Wong has bowled it really fine over there. She's got a wicket maiden, and into the side, into the wickets, into her spell superbly well. 11 for 1 after 3.
I had a chat with Izzy Wong actually at Derby. She was bowling out before the game and up there commentating, and I just went out to her and I said, oh, how's it coming out? And she went, terrible.
Really?
She said, absolutely terrible. We just had a bit of a chat about things and worked through things, so I'm really pleased to see her come into this side and wicket maiden straight away, and that will just give her so much confidence. It's not a nice feeling when you don't really feel like you know where the ball's going, but hopefully that over will give her a huge amount of confidence for the rest of this game and for the ODI series to come.
Do you like being sort of asked your opinion, given a little bit of advice to some of the younger players? We're going to see Bryony Smith back into the attack. And the Ashty down road end of the ground, bowling to Mardana, pushed back towards her, no run there.
I'm very happy to do it. I'm not someone who, I wouldn't go around just giving my opinion out. I'd always say, would you like my opinion? Would you like any help or guidance or anything?
Here comes Bryony Smith around the wicket, swept by Mardana. She's going to get runs there, beats the infield, the ball's rushing across the lush grass, and Izzy Wong slides but can't get there. It's a good attempt from the England fielder, but it is another boundary into the leg side for Mardana. India 15 for 1.
Yeah, I'll ask if they would like some help or advice. If they say yes, then I'll try and do whatever I can to help. If they say no, then walk away. It's fair enough. It's their prerogative, and obviously still care immensely about England women's cricket, and particularly the young seamers. And obviously with Catherine and Nat not in this series, it's a really inexperienced group, and I guess any little bit I can help, I will always try and do that.
Mardana waiting and defending into the offside, and there is no run. And that's what makes this series quite exciting in some ways, is missing those experienced players like Nat Siver, Catherine Brunt, Heather Knight, yourself. It means that these players are getting a big opportunity to have to stand up. Bryony Smith in again. Lofted away, down the ground. That's a lovely looking shot, sounded brilliant off the bat, and it's a brilliant catch! Oh, Sophie Eccleston diving to her right, came from nowhere. A stunning piece of fielding from Sophie Eccleston. How she's got over that ground so quickly to then take the catch, knowing it was Mardana on strike. It's a sensational bit of work.
From our position, I thought as soon as she hit that was 6, but as we saw, the bat turned in her hand, it hung in the air, and Sophie Eccleston has covered the ground so well. What a great catch.
It's a brilliant catch, it really is. And as soon as she'd seen the catch was taken, Mardana looked down at the toe end of her bat. Maybe it wasn't quite as clean as it sounded, because to me it sounded like it was threatening those flats at the far end.
Yeah, I was about to put my hands up thinking it was a 6, but she obviously didn't get the connection that it sounded like from up here, and that's twice in 3 games Bryony Smith has dismissed Smriti Mandana.
So Harmanpreet Kaur, the India captain, comes to the middle. And don't forget, I should say, you can watch that catch as part of the highlights programme on BBC Two tonight from 11:15. So you'll be able to see it in all its glory, and it was glorious, I have to say. Really brilliant piece of fielding. Harmanpreet Kaur then comes to the middle, vastly experienced, played well over 100 matches for this India side in T20 cricket. She is at the non-striker's end as the ball is jammed into the ground and taken by Bryony Smith. Did you think that was a catch, or were you?
No, I was doing the old crowd catch.
You were doing the crowd catch. I was going to say, nothing gets past you, Anya. Here comes Smith bowling to Meghana, driving, stopped by Dunkley, who doesn't seem to know where the ball is just for a moment. And 4 overs gone, 15 for 2. This has been a really good start in the field for England.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant start from England. It's such an important catch. It's been a really, really impressive start from them. They've put India under pressure. They've bowled well. They've bowled with discipline. Almost bounced out.
It did. And the full roly-poly as well from Sophie Eccleston, which is always nice to see. You can see those supporters behind. You can barely believe that the catch has been taken. She did really well. Right then, Izzy Wong's going to have another over from the pavilion end. Has a little word with England's vice-captain, Sophie Eccleston. Who, despite being just 22, is senior enough in this young England side to be the vice-skipper.
Absolutely senior enough. She's been around for years now.
I know. Absolute fixture. Here comes Izzy Wong then again. Oh, that's a poor ball down the leg side, and well taken by Amy Jones. That was slightly more like the bowling she said she was doing the other day.
A little bit more. I think she'll be quite happy she got away with just the wide. I was going to say it's a wide fun leg. It's a deep backward square leg. There's no one on the leg, kind of deep on the leg side from there. So I think a wide's probably the best outcome there.
Harmanpreet Kaur waiting then, right-hander, mid-on and mid-off up inside the circle. As Izzy Wong comes in, bowling, it's defended into the offside. That's the line that you wanted to see, and there's no run.
Yeah, that's her best ball, and you've just got to keep doing that, particularly when India is 16 for 2. It's now about bowling your best ball and saying to the Indian batters, are you going to take a risk? Are you going to risk being 3 down in the power play, knowing that not many teams win games when they're 3 down in the power play?
Wong running in, right arm over once more, played crisply towards backward point where Danny Wyatt will pick up. Again, there's no run. Izzy Wong has conceded just that 1 wide so far. Harmanpreet Kaur saying at the toss she would have wanted to have a bowl too. This India side certainly aren't as effective when batting first. We've seen that in terms of the statistics. Full delivery, driven away, good stop though. It's a really good piece of fielding from Alice Capsey as the ball bounced and bobbled across those used pitches that have had, 4 or 5 months worth of active service in the last little while. She did well, and actually one of those where you could easily end up with a trip to the dentist soon after. I think it ended up bouncing up high up on the chest. Here comes Izzy Wong again, sprinting away from us. It's a full delivery, no run there, absolutely on the money from Wong. It's pushed into the offside by Kaur, who's now faced 4 deliveries, yet to get off the mark.
Something that Harmanpreet Kaur can do sometimes. She can be a bit of a slow starter. I guess England have bowled well here and they're 2 down, so she can't take too many risks, but she can occasionally be a slow starter.
Wong again. Right arm over, down the leg side once more. Jones parries the ball. They run through for an extra run as well as that wide as the throw comes in from Eccleston, from Sarah Glenn rather. So that'll be 2 onto the total, the wide and then that extra run that was taken. That's Paul Pollard signals up to the scorer's box. So 18 for 2 is the score. 2 balls left in the 5th over and 1 power play over after this. So after that, there'll be a maximum of 4 fielders allowed on the boundary. In comes Wong. Smile on her face as she's running into bowl. It's a good ball as well. Right jammed in at the toes of Meganar, and there's no opportunity to get the ball anywhere. Both of these players have been in the middle for, well, between them 9 deliveries, 5 in the case of Meganar and 4 for Kaur. They've both yet to score a run.
Yeah, it's been exceptional bowling from England. They've just put them under so much pressure, given them nothing loose to get away.
Meganar waiting. It's a short ball, and that flies on through to Jones, who puffs out her cheeks and has a little look up towards Izzy Wong as that leapt up off the surface and went rattling on through to the gloves of the England wicketkeeper. 18 for 2 is the score. 5 overs gone. Anya Shrubsole, some thoughts from you on what England have done so right in these first 5 overs. And then for the first time today, Melissa Story.
England have just put a lot of pressure on India. They've barely given them anything free to get away. They've taken, apart from that stumping second ball of the game, they've taken their chances and really just put India under so much pressure, made it hard for them to score. Brilliant catch from Sophie Eccleston to remove Smriti Mandana. England well on top here. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, nice to see you again. I think the last time I saw you, we bumped into each other at the lifts at the Ageas Bowl during the 100. After probably another Southern Brave win.
Sounds about right. Just can't win the one that really matters, unfortunately.
Well, we won't get into that. You've still been to a 100 final. It's one better than I've ever achieved, so very much winning in that department. Freya Davis with the ball in hand. There's a nice golden glow over the apartments in front of her. She bowls on the legs of Kaur, who works that round the corner to square leg. She'll get through for a single. It's been a relatively quiet power play so far. 19 for 2 India into this final over, where they can have just the 2 fielders outside the inner ring, and then England will be able to push back 2 more to have 4 in total. But I mean, you've played a lot here at the ground in Bristol for Western Storm and now playing for Southern Vipers. Is it normally quite a difficult batting surface?
No, it's normally one of the better ones, I would say, and I think this is. I just think England have bowled well. There's a bit of pace in it, there's a bit of carry in it, and England have used that to their advantage, taken their chances and put a lot of pressure on India.
Meghana on strike, and that one's pushed back to, well, past the bowler, and there's been a towel flying off the back of Freya Davis's, I guess, tucked into the trousers, and as she bowled, it's flown out. I'm not quite sure how.
It really flew out. Normally it just kind of just drops out the back, but that
I'm not
flew
sure
away towards extra cover. It's impressive
to get the towel such a distance, and I'm surprised there that Ghana's not been put off, but Davis coming in again, bowls a straighter delivery, and has that been edged through to Amy Jones' bounces just before, or was that just deviation from the hand?
I'm not really sure. The only thing I am sure of, it was a pretty ugly swipe. Ghana's obviously 0 off 8 in the power play. It's not a great return. It was a pretty ugly swipe off the body.
Hit her back. She swiveled round to play that pull shot attempt into the onside. A pull shot's been generous, I think.
I agree.
Davis into bowl, back of the length. This one she makes contact with, but Danny Wyatt's out there in a stunning catch at deep square leg. Danny Wyatt diving forwards, full stretch, and a disappointing innings comes to an end for Meghana. 0 off 9. She never got off the strike, finally making contact with that one. I mean, Danny Wyatt, she's always exceptional, but that was truly exceptional, Anya.
Yeah, that was a brilliant catch from Danny Wyatt. England have been on it in the field. They look up for this game, running around, low to the ground. Danny Wyatt is an outstanding outfielder. Dropped an absolute sitter at Derby, which she'll be disappointed with, but I think she's more than made up for it there.
And how difficult is it as a fielder in the deep to be able to, there's always that split moment where you've got to make that split decision. Do I just let it bounce in front, save the 4, or do I go for it? Is it, I assume it's a bit more difficult to put your head towards the flying fast ball?
Yeah, it's not something that necessarily comes naturally, But I think that one was running round. That's probably a bit simpler than just necessarily diving forward. That was running round and diving low to catch it. And like I say, she's just an outstanding outfielder. She covers the ground so quickly, so well. And I think that sums up England's power play, really. They've been outstanding.
Outstanding with the ball in the field, and they've got India into a tricky situation here. 3 wickets down, just 19 runs on the board. And it's been a good toss to win for England, but their bowlers have certainly done the job here in this series deciding game. Freya Davies running in now to the new batter, and that's a leading edge into the covers. Apologies, Harmanpreet Kaur on strike as the batters crossed. Is that the new rule? The batters crossed, or it's complicated,
I think the rule is about to change in international cricket in October. In the 100 and in domestic cricket, we've played that the new batter in faces regardless of what happens. I think it's a great rule, and I believe it's coming into international cricket in October.
I'm not sure what date. Well, maybe it's an automatic thing as soon as it rolls over into the month. Here comes Davis bowling to Kaur, who guides that one calmly down to deep third. It's fielded by Sarah Glenn, picks up a single. 20 for 3 then after the power play. And I think Captain Harmanpreet Kaur here will be having, she got a little bit feisty in the first game at Durham, which is not something any young listeners should aspire to maybe replicate, but you can tell she's a passionate cricketer, and she will be wanting to come into this series decider with a bit of fight, a bit of energy, but her team's 3 down. Is this the day for her big innings?
I think from India's point of view, it will have to be. I think you'd look and say that you want Harmanpreet Kaur to, I guess, kind of bat through the majority of the next sort of 10 overs and still be there when it gets to 4 or 5 overs to go, and it's up to the other batters probably, if there's a risk to be taken, for them to take that risk and Kaur kind of bat all the way through and look to I guess take advantage of those last 4 or 5 overs.
Sarah Glenn then into the attack after it's been a good series for her so far. Picked up 4 wickets in the first game up at Durham last Saturday. She's bowling to Kaur, who's advancing down the pitch, driving down to long off first delivery, and will pick up a single. 21 for 3. I've seen so much about Sarah Glenn's bowling and how traditionally spin's been not the coolest thing to promote, because younger bowlers or younger players tend to look at the fast bowling and the Izzy Wongs and go, this is what I want to do, I want to fire the ball down there as much as possible. But I saw someone suggesting that Sarah Glenn makes bowling spin cool.
My advice would be bowl spin.
Bowl spin.
It's a lot easier on the body, shorter run-ups. Don't bowl seam, bowl spin, everyone.
You've heard it here. Anya Shrubsole. Glenn waits as Nata taps her back down, waiting, and that's a low full toss, driven to extra cover, can't beat that inner ring. She's got a gap at deep cover, long on and long off, both out as well. So there's singles available down the ground, and then deep mid wicket, Glenn in, and that's past the outside edge. Actually, she's edged it through to the keeper, Amy Jones, and another wicket falls, and Lata this time looking to cut one which was a bit too close to the stumps. Faintest of inside edges through to Amy Jones, and she's fantastic behind the stumps. India here in a bit of trouble. 21 for 4. Was that a classic case of Sarah Glenn just was gliding it through a bit more? I think the players play for that traditional leg spin, which never really comes.
I think it's her and Sophie Eccleston in lots of ways are quite similar. They're not massive turners of the ball. They kind of skid the ball onto the stumps, and they're really hard players to cut. The ball's always kind of skidding through, and it's actually quite a healthy edge. That's a brilliant catch by Amy Jones. Watching the replay, really quite a big edge, big deviation, great catch from Amy Jones.
And it brings Deepti Sharma out into the middle. I'm not sure she would have been expecting to be striding out to the pitch just after the power play. But at least for India, 2 experienced members in the middle. And they'll need to dig India out of this tricky situation. Just seeing again that edge through to Jones. It really was a meaty part of the bat, and always difficult as a keeper just to keep that ball tracked in your mind. Deepti Sharma then averages 22 in T20 cricket. I guess the concern for India, not at the moment, because right now it's in terms of let's just build a partnership, but she's got a strike rate well below 100. Sarah Glenn bowls her, and that one keeps a bit low, straighter. She drops her bat down on it to Maya Boucher at mid-wicket. Although I think with your team 21 for 4, you're probably not too worried about strike rate.
I think left-hander for India here, that can mess with the bowlers, make things a bit trickier.
Glenn bowls to Deepti Sharma, who looks to work that one past Glenn, and does. It's a bit of one of those awkward moments where Glenn had to decide whether to go on a full-length sprawl to save the ball and risk completely wiping out Harmanpreet Kaur.
You should always take out the batter, just go for it. They're trying to get in your way. It's a classic trick. They're trying to get in your way to stop you getting it, so
you're giving some
no
good
other
advice
option
today.
but to go through them.
I think we should start writing it down. We'll have a book in the making this time next year. That one's inside edged from Kaur, trickles down to short final leg, no run. 22 for 4 remains the score after 7 overs. And it's been a sorry tale for India. Looking at those most recent overs, it's just a few singles, but just lots of dots and lots of wickets. And at this rate, it feels as if any score over 100 would be a good enough target for them. The way England's been batting recently, particularly Sophia Dunkley and Freya Kemp, Alice Capsey, you would say that a score around the 100 mark is by no means going to be enough, Alex Hartley.
No, definitely not. It's it's going to be a tough ask for India here to get a decent score on the board. England have had a brilliant start. Sophie Eccleston hasn't even bowled yet.
That's always a dangerous thing when Sophie Eccleston's yet to come on. And of course it allows England to bowl a few more overs from the part-time spin. Bryony Smith is going back into the attack for her 3rd over. And England have plenty of all-rounders to rely on. Alice Capsey as well may be required to turn her arm over, and you see so often in T20 when the spinners come on, it's a period of the game where things just kind of go a bit slower. Well, this should trap the India batters down to a lower run rate. Smith then bowling to Deepti Sharma, who's driving that through the vacant cover region out to the sweeper. And gets another single, 23 for 4.
Yeah, these two are going to be key for India. Deepti Sharma, Harmanpreet Kaur, both incredible batters. Got a lot of talent. So they'll know that they've just got to get through this tough passage of play and try and capitalise in the back end of the innings.
This is really a dream game for Amy Jones, who's captaining just her 3rd game, of course, after Nat Siva made the decision to not participate in this series against India, citing mental health reasons. Bryony Smith in with a flatter delivery to Kaur, which she works off her hip, and they scamper through for a quick single. Bryony Smith fields off her own bowling. 24 for 4.
It's really well played that from Kaur, just knocking the ball into the leg side, just takes the weight of the ball off and gets a quick single.
Interesting here for India, of course, is that the heavy reliance they've had on their 2 openers these last few years. I mean, Smriti Mandana alone has 17 50s for India. And Deepti Sharma as well has often... Shafali Verma has often got them off to some good starts. It's going to be up to these two in the middle now. Smith bowls a slower, straighter one, and Deepti Sharma waits an age for that. Pushes it back to the bowler. And another dot ball on the card. It's an easy job for the scorers at the moment.
Really easy. It's been a bizarre innings for India so far.
Smith bowls, and this one's guided past the fielder at point, and Sarah Glenn there in pursuit. India should get back for 2 runs, and actually they were in the end looking for a 3rd one, and despite a slip from Sarah Glenn out in the outfield, they settle on just the 2, 26 for 4. And again, nicely played there by Deepti Sharma, just waiting for it. There's not much pace on the ball from Bryony Smith, so to be able to get the ball down towards the deep 3rd angle was quite impressive. Smith continues around the wicket, bowling to Deepti Sharma, who this time's pushing it to cover. It was up in the ring. Another dot ball, 26 for 4, the score.
Deepti Sharma looking for the quick single there, but just hit the ball straight to backward point. Not able to get through.
Smith into Deepti Sharma, who works that round the corner into the onside. Amy Jones fielding this time, a dramatic dive from her. She returns a slightly wayward throw into Bryony Smith behind the stumps. Again, rotation of the strike from India, but at the moment 27 for 4 off 8 overs.
Yeah, it's not been good from India, but it's been brilliant from an England perspective. England fans, they'll be happy. They've taken wickets in the power play, they've restricted runs, the run rate less than 3.5 and over, which is not good enough in T20. You want to be up and around sixes for as long as possible, and then you get through this passage of play, and who comes onto bowl? Sophie Eccleston, the world #1. So things are only going to get tougher here for India. The only thing they've got is that Eccleston's starting to the left-hander. Deepti Sharma, she's not as strong bowling to left-handers than she usually is. She's just bowling the ball to Maya Bouchier to warm up and bowls it at her feet, and it races away to the boundary.
I always hate being asked to be that fielder. Can kind of do a few warm-up deliveries, because I always drop it, or it'll go over your head and you've got to go chase it down, and Bouchier's already probably run a 2 there just collecting the ball, but Eccleston waits in front of us. Amy Jones just making sure her field's as she'd like it. Eccleston bowls, and that's straight dropped back to her by Sharma. Again, she was looking to work that a bit more square to pick up that single, and England look happy to give her that single on the onside. There's a long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square leg. Plenty of gaps for India. Eccleston bowls to Deepti Sharma. She works this off her pads, slightly bisecting the fielder at deep mid-wicket and deep square, allowing them to come back for 2 runs. And that's just what India need to do here. There's some big gaps. There's a big outfield here at Bristol, playing on the full-size boundaries. There's plenty of 2s or even 3s. Feels like a 3s kind of evening. There's something in the air.
Oh, surely not. I don't reckon we often see 3s in women's cricket unless there's a misfield or something like that.
A little dink round the corner which just trickles to the rope but doesn't quite go. I think the umpires here are actually just checking to see if Deepti Sharma slid her bat across the crease line or whether it was one short. I think from that replay it will have confirmed that she did just run her bat in. She was definitely pushing it there a little bit.
Yeah, it looked like one short, but I think she's... I don't know the rule actually. Does some part of the bat have to be on the line?
Has to be over or
has to be over, because none of the bat that's grounded is over. But no, they've got 2 for it. There we go. She's just gone over, so there we go.
In fact, she's pushed a little bit of dirt on the pitch over the line, almost like playing curling. In comes Eccleston, and this is worked into the onside again by Sharma. They're running the first one hard, but this time Danny Wyatt doesn't allow them to come back for 2. Not Danny Wyatt.
Alice Capsey.
Alice Capsey. 30 for 4 the score for India. And the Indian batters looking quite animated out there despite the situation they're in, 4 wickets down. Deepti Sharma seems to be laughing at everything.
Yeah, you've got to enjoy it, haven't you? You've got to make the best of a bad situation.
Eccleston bowling to Kaur, who's pushing that down the ground to long on. And they get through for another single, 31 for 4. I mean, you would know, playing with Welsh Fire this August in the hundreds. Just got to keep smiling and going.
I don't know what you're talking about. We won it, didn't we?
Did you win it?
If you come bottom of the table, it actually means you win.
Eccleston bowls a flatter one and a bit of extra bounce from that delivery. Sharma looking to play a late cut, was just surprised by a bit of topspin almost from Eccleston. 1 ball left in this 9th over. Eccleston swinging her arms, advances to the crease, and that's worked again onto the onside towards a long on deep mid-wicket area. They get back for just a single. 32 for 4 then off 9 overs India, and despite the low scoring affair so far, there's a good crowd in here today at Bristol. Of course, given the national situation, you never know what the crowd's going to be like. It's September, it's in the evening, it might be a bit cold. And of course there was, I think, meant to be some train strikes arranged on the day, which have been cancelled since then, but I don't know whether it's affected some kind of crowds. But I was going to ask what your thoughts were on them, because of course we saw some record-breaking crowds during the 100, up to 20,000 in the final. Do you think there's been the right amount of marketing for these series? Have we expected to see more?
I think we've definitely seen bigger crowds this year after the 100 than we've seen previously. for England women, but I always think it can be marketed more. Always, always.
Here comes Glenn, and this one's hoiked away by Sharma out towards deep mid-wicket. Bisects the fielders again, and they get back for 2 runs. Clever batting from India, and Deepti Sharma even turned around there and gave the illusion of coming back for the 3. It always looks good when you do that, 'cause you're never really going to run it.
They always say run hard, look for the 2s, look for the 3s, but I'd be very surprised if we see a 3.
We've got a little wager here now, as in comes Glenn, and this one's flicked down the ground to long on by Deepti Sharma. This time they settle on just the 1. 35 for 4.
Boundaries here is what India need. A run rate just gone above 3.5 and over now.
When was the last boundary? It's quite hard to remember. I think it's so long ago, before mobile phones existed. Here comes Glenn bowling to Kaur, and that one strikes her in front. A muted appeal from Sarah Glenn, who goes for the I'll raise one arm in the air and then be quite embarrassed with my review and just slyly put it down next to me, because it did look like it was sliding down.
It was, and that was her first call to Captain Amy Jones. She said, oh, it's going down. Just gave the hand signal, going down the leg side.
Then jumps to the crease and bowls a full one, which Kaur was looking to hit probably over the apartments in front of us, and didn't make contact. In fact, a little inside edge.
The last boundary was 38 balls ago.
Wow.
28 minutes.
And you definitely knew that off by heart. As in comes Glenn and bowls Harmanpreet Kaur, advancing down the pitch, misses one, and it's cleaned her up. Another wicket falls for India. 35 for 5 now. Big celebrations from England, because of course this is a series decider, and England have come out and bowled themselves almost, you can say at this point, into a winning position.
Yeah, it's quite a painful innings for Harmanpreet Kaur that it comes to an end. Sarah Glenn just bowling full and straight, getting no turn. If anything, it skids on. Harmanpreet Kaur coming down the pitch and playing across the line of the ball, completely missing it. And India, they find themselves in so much trouble after playing so well the other day at Derby. Actually thrashed England in that previous game, but find themselves 35 for 5.
And we got a good stat in from our good friend Hypercourse, who pointed out that this was India's lowest power play total since November 2019.
Wow.
And this India team, we've seen them on the rise through the captaincy of Mitali Raj, and now under Harmanpreet Kaur. They've certainly come out, especially in the Commonwealth Games, playing a different brand of cricket, and it's not been present here today at the moment, but it is, I guess, a result of them being more fearless in this format.
Yeah, they're very hit and miss. So they'll have an excellent day like they had in the previous game, but then they have a day like today, and they're a very bizarre team.
Sarah Glenn bowls to Sneh Rana, who respectfully pushes that back to her for no run.
They're a very bizarre team to sort of get your head around.
Yes, a bit inconsistent with some of the results, but 35 for 5, 10 overs in. The classic question as we go, what's the projected score here, Alex Hartley? And after that prediction from you, we have Henry Moran.
Well, the way they're going, the projected score will be about 65. So I'm not answering that question. I'm going to talk about India's inconsistency and how they've been so up and down of late. And when a team's going through a change, we've seen quite a few new players come into this team. And when you see new players come into a team, you do get that inconsistency, especially when it comes to the batting. We see it with England, you know, they're quite an inconsistent team at the minute as well, because they are so young. You have to sort of move on and forgive them. But when you find, you know, you're 35 for 5 after 10 overs, it's a bit embarrassing, really.
Oh, embarrassing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Whoa.
Sorry.
Here
It
comes Freya Kemp. She got 50 in the last game, but the bowling wasn't quite as effective. Left arm over the wicket, paddled around the corner down towards fine leg by Deepti Sharma, who moves to 36 for 5.
So if you're playing a T20 international,
this is already quite a stretch, but
yes.
yeah.
What score is embarrassing then, if it's not 35 for 5 after 10?
I always think you need to wait till 20, but because if you look at, I know it's an annoying answer, but if you look at England the other night, they were in all sorts of trouble before Kemp and Boucher came together and ended up posting a decent total. what I'm not sure is where the sort of firepower is. The 6 hitting will be lower down the order for India here.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that's coming from. Obviously, Freya Kemp, we knew that she's capable of what she did the other day. I'm not sure we've seen it from India's middle order.
Sneh Rana waiting, right-hander, will get one into the leg side as Bouchier bounds around, picks up at the second attempt, 37 for 5. So Pooja Vastrika can hit the ball quite a long way, but and Rika Ghosh as well is an effective cricketer, but it isn't quite as deep a lineup perhaps as England's.
No.
And that will be a concern. In comes Freya Kemp, left arm over, worked away. A little flick of the wrists from Deepti Sharma down towards Sarah Glenn.
I think what we'll see is more of this nudging and nurdling and trying to run twos, get the ball into the gaps rather than the boundary hitting, which is what India actually need. They need Deepti Sharma to bat as long as possible, maybe bat until 16 overs and then go. Just take the game as deep as you can.
Here comes Kemp, shoulders rocking as she runs in and bowls now. She's back of a length and well taken by Amy Jones down the leg side. Wide signal, that's 39 for 5. So still to bat, they've got Rika Ghosh and Pooja Vastrika are the two that would potentially offer a little bit of rocket fuel to the back end of the innings.
I think Vastrika more than Ghosh as well.
39 for 5 as in comes Kemp, rolling the fingers over the ball, taking the pace off it. It's pushed back gently towards her from the batter Sneh Rana. And Amy Jones, the stand-in captain, will be pretty happy with life at the moment as she signals down towards the fielder. Fine leg, and Sophie Eccleston's also offering some enthusiasm and some instructions. We've got a little shuffling around of the field, so we've got a...
Oh, I thought it was Sophie Eccleston at fine leg, but it's not. It's Izzy Wong.
It's Izzy Wong. So Wong comes up inside the circle at fine leg. We've got two fielders on the boundary on the leg side. The ramp is on. Sneh Rana waiting, chasing a ball that's outside the off stump. Almost like she played that shot with a piece of polystyrene, such was the effectiveness of it. It just dropped very gently away. Yeah,
it did, didn't it? Short, wide delivery. Pace off from Freya Kemp. It was only 52 miles an hour. It's about the pace that Sophie Eccleston bowls. It's a good slower ball, but it was wide outside the off stump.
Back of the hand. It's a useful trick to have. This is driven up towards Davis. There won't be a run there. Deepti Sharma was keen on it. So just 4 runs from Freya Kemp's first over. 39 for 5 the score. 11 gone. Remind you, you'll be able to watch highlights of this game. BBC 2, 11:15 this evening. And a couple of really good catches in the deep from Sophie Eccleston, Danny Wyatt.
I want to talk about Sophie Eccleston.
Oh yeah.
I think she grounded it. Oh, she did 100% ground it. I don't think the umpires checked it. Well, they can't have done, because it would have been given not out. Key wicket for England. It was Smithy Mandana trying to go down the ground, and it was a brilliant catch from Eccleston. And as she's rolled onto the floor, she's put the ball on the floor
and used the ball as
a
support.
Yeah, which is.
But was she in control of it?
No, because it's as soon as she does catch it, but she's not in control of her movement, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know the rules or the laws, but the TV replays keep showing it, so therefore I think she's grounded and should have been out.
I had this debate the other day with somebody, and my view is exactly yours. That if the ball is in control of the field and they have technically taken the catch, they still have control of the ball. Izzy Wong bowling down the leg side it goes, and I thought for a moment there might be a little bit of bat on that from Deepti Sharma, but it is a wide to start the 12th over. 40 for 5.
Izzy Wong has only gone for 4 runs, and 3 of those have been wides.
It's a pretty decent spell. Wong to bowl to Deepti Sharma. Round the wicket she comes. This is run very delicately to Sarah Glenn, who fields at short third and always has a rather pleasing grimace when she throws the ball back in.
Yeah, it's almost like it hurts to throw.
Just really, actually gives it some welly.
Yes.
Here is Izzy Wong again, turning at the far end of the ground, and beginning this smooth approach. Arms and legs pumping. It's a fuller ball this time. Dipti Sharma works into the leg side. Will get one run. She slides her bat in at the non-striker's end. And the score 41 for 5. I mean, realistically, it's a good question Melissa asks. What is a likely total from here? It's 41 for 5, midway through the 12th. What are you looking at, 80?
I said 65.
Wow.
They've got to get more than that. You've got to try and get 100. I mean, it's gonna take a lot. The current projected score is 72. If they go at 10 and over, 128. Got at 6 and over, they're only going to get 93. So they've got a lot of work to do here, India. And England are just so in control. And there's been no risks taken from India because they can't, because they've lost so many wickets.
Here comes Izzy Wong then, running in to bowl. Oh, so close to that leg stump. She stepped across it, Sneh Rana. All stumps were exposed and it just misses leg stump, and it was so close actually that the ball, though it went down the leg side, is not signalled wide by Sue Redfern, as she's explaining now to Sneh Rana, well, you stepped across and you're very lucky you weren't bowled.
Oh, that nearly clipped the top of leg stump. Now Izzy Wong is rocking a brilliant hairstyle at the minute.
It's glow in the dark apparently.
Yes, it is. It is glow in the dark.
Here comes Wong again. This is worked away by Rana into the leg side for a single. Oh, they're going to push for the second. They'll get there as well. Throw comes in, but it was a good call that from Rana, who knew that she'd be running to the danger end, and as the throw came in from Capsey, there was time enough to get through. 43 for 5. They won't find the boundaries, Alex. They need to keep on making sure they get all of those.
Yeah, they have to
twos as
run
possible.
twos. They've got to keep running twos. Boundaries have obviously been really hard to come by for India, so you have to keep looking for those twos. Melissa wants a 3.
Ooh, it's a quick ball from Wong, short as well, and rather like a periscope. Sneh Rana left that bat high up above her. It's been 51 balls now since the last boundary.
But how many balls have there been in the game if we've had 11.5 overs?
Therefore, 11.5 over 71. Bless you. 43 for 5.
It wasn't me.
One ball left of the 12th over. In comes Izzy Wong again. And Rana runs the ball toe end of the bat down towards deep third. That won't be a boundary either, because Freya Davis picks up cleanly. And the end of an over that sees the score onto 44 for 5 after 12. Izzy Wong's hair, because you had coffee with her early on today, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We went out for a coffee, and you took the words out of my mouth. It's glow in the dark. That's the story I was going to tell. I mean, it's brilliant. It was green at one stage, but it's gone more blondie now with just a tint of green in it.
44 for 5. Good evening to Mervyn, who gets in touch on the email tms@bbc.co.uk and says, will your commentators help me by explaining which England matches have been played at Durham? Durham is a city in County Durham. England matches are played at Chesterler Street, a market town 6 miles north of Durham. They're played at the Riverside, the home of Durham County Cricket Club. And goes on to explain that it's something that's frustrated Mervyn for a while. Well, here comes Eccleston, and this is defended by Sneh Rana. I think it is because people are used to saying, they played the game at Sussex when they mean Hove, or they might say England played the next ODI at Kent, meaning
Canterbury.
So I can understand where the linguistic complications exist. In the air, could be a chance. No, drop short. Dunkley does really well actually, diving to her left. She had ground to make up, and it was one of those where she had to make the decision: do you go for the catch, do you try and stop the ball? And in the end she does brilliantly to prevent the boundary.
I think that's a good bit of fielding from Sophia Dunkley. The slog sweep, top edge into the leg side, and as you say, she's running in, it bounces just before her and she stops the boundary. And that's 54 balls since the last boundary for India, with that good bit of fielding from Sophia Dunkley.
Eccleston is about to bowl, but Rana has seen something down below us, pulls away. Mervyn concludes by saying, other than that, I love you all, especially Alex. Eccleston tosses that ball up, clipped away into the leg side. Nicely timed, work for the fielder to do, and brilliantly saved by Wyatt, who, though there will be 2 runs, does prevent that boundary. With that, the score moves on, 48 for 5. If you want to join the conversation, tms@bbc.co.uk.
55 balls in the last boundary. I'm dying to see one.
Here's Eccleston, big swing and a miss. That was an almighty swipe at that ball. But it was
I think a
quite
bit
sharp
of yeah,
turn
I think
there.
a bit of turn there for Sophie Eccleston. It's well bowled, quicker ball, just into the pitch, and as it hits the pitch, it takes some grip, and it's a good take from Amy Jones in the end.
Eccleston bowling, oh, very full, somehow beats everything and is going to run down to the boundary, so it won't be 4 off the bat, but it will be 4 onto the total, and Byes signalled, so Eccleston, who can't believe she's not bowled runner there, has her hands on her head and feels that she may have got a little unlucky. 52 for 5.
She has got really unlucky. It's a quicker ball, fuller ball from Eccleston. She's gone for the Yorker, and it's so close to hitting that leg stump. It's missed absolutely everything. Somehow the batter has backed away. India, they find themselves a boundary with 4 byes.
Are we counting that? Here comes Eccleston. Oh, that's a full delivery on the toes, and no, says umpire Paul Pollard. Amy Jones has the decision as captain and also arguably the best view as wicketkeeper, and makes the T signal to say they want to have a look at this. So we're going to go upstairs and hear what third umpire Neil Bainton has got to tell us about whether this could be out.
I always thought that meant she wanted a cup of tea.
Oh, does it?
So Eccleston thinks that this has hit her on the boot first before it's come out the middle of the bat, because we heard the wood sound that the bat was involved. Just has it hit the boot first?
Here we go. This replay will tell us. It's very full, and no, that's not hit the bat.
Oh, it's smashed her on the boot.
That is plumb. To me, unless it's slipping down the leg side. Let's have a look at the replay, and I don't think that the bat scrapes on the ground. That's the noise that possibly is why Paul Pollard did not give that out. But I think when we see ball tracking here, we're going to see that is absolutely in front, and will be another wicket.
I think when we talk about plum LBWs, this could be one. I think it's smashing into leg stump here because it's so full.
First spike is back hitting the ground.
I don't know why they're checking this still, because
They're just clarifying that the first spike is the bat hitting the ground.
well, they've clarified that now, and here comes ball tracking, and the ball is going to go on to hit the stumps, leg stump, around about a third of the way up. And so it's a good review from Eccleston, Jones and England, and India do lose another wicket. 13 overs have been bowled, and the score was a rather disappointing 52 for 6.
Very disappointing score, but a brilliant review from Sophie Eccleston. She walked straight over to Amy Jones, and there was no convincing needed. She knew it was full, it was straight, it was going to clatter into the stumps. There's a good review by England. You can see the celebrations there. And my prediction of 60 all out at the start of the day could be on.
Yeah, well, they need to take 4 wickets and allow 8 runs to be scored. But I mean, I would say that's only 2 boundaries, but that, by the current reckoning, will take about 4 hours. The way things have been going. Sneh Rana goes 8 from 15. 52 for 6 the score then. 13 overs have been bowled. And we're going to see Bryony Smith back into the attack. The floodlights shining at Bristol. And a run rate of just 4 in the innings so far. You alright?
Yeah, I just love cricket.
I know you do. And you also love ice cream. We saw the ice cream van a minute ago.
Yes.
We went for a little walk.
It's too cold for ice cream though. I don't know how. I saw about a 4-year-old lad tucking into an ice cream, his face right in it.
That is normally how eating happens.
Right. He must have been freezing. T-shirt he was in.
In comes Bryony Smith, round the wicket then. It's well to Dipti Sharma. Works that ball behind square on the leg side for 1. Might think about 2, but decide against it. And the score moves to 53 for 6. First time I've ever seen you turn down an ice cream.
Yeah. I mean, I am inside, so I could get away with it.
Yeah.
Do you want one?
We could go for a little walk.
All right then. Twist that rubber arm. When someone asks me if I want to go for a pint. Go on then.
Rika Ghosh is on strike then. Wicket keeper, young talent who, very useful player, somebody that expects to play a lot of international cricket for India. And Bryony Smith, someone who's worked hard to get back in England colours after a brief spell with the England side back in 2018. She's back playing quite regularly again and comes in now, bowling off spin. This is hammered into the leg side and there will be 4 runs, I fancy, and it is 4. There we go, Rika Ghosh, first ball, smacked away through mid-wicket.
That's a lovely shot from Rika Ghosh. She lofts it up and up over mid-wicket and dissects that deep mid-wicket fielder and long on perfectly. It was just a length delivery from Bryony Smith. And India, they've got a boundary off the bat.
Well,
now I've got a smile on my face.
You have. You're pleased with that. We're now not far away from the 60 mark. 57 for 6. Bryony Smith walking in now over the wicket. Rika Ghosh is looking for another boundary round the corner, but Sarah Glenn picks up and then that catapult arm. It is.
It's like a shot put.
It is, yes.
She's got a shot put arm.
One arm in front of her and then whoosh.
And gives it the
Yeah, it does. It's just really nice to see. It's my favourite throw in the women's game. Here comes Bryony Smith. Oh, is that going to be another wicket? Oh, the stumps light up. There's half a shout for a stumping, but I'm not sure they're going to go upstairs. And it's an odd category to have of favourite things, but is Shabnam Ismail's. She doesn't move the other arm in the way that Sarah Glenn uses both arms to really throw it. Shabnam Ismail has her left arm by her side and then just whips the ball in right-handed.
Never noticed that before.
Here comes Bryony Smith, full delivery, paddled around the corner. Here comes Glenn tumbling, that's a good save, and throws the ball in with 1 run taken.
No, I think she got sent back.
Did she?
They both ran halfway, decided to turn around and go back.
Which took longer than it would take to actually just run the run. Which is one thing that always baffles me.
There was definitely a single there. I was about to make a comment on maybe they feel they've got enough.
Here comes Bryony Smith. This is clipped down the ground. A single will be taken to move India to 58 for 6 after 14 overs. We say goodbye to Alex for the time being.
Bryony Smith, 4 overs, 13 dot balls, 1 for 19.
As the India dugout, Anya Shamsal. Hello again.
Look cold.
They do. There's a lot of white towels that look like they might have been taken from the team hotel for the purpose of keeping everyone warm. It's a chilly old evening out there.
Oh, it's beautiful in here though, isn't it?
But it is. We're very lucky in here. But good crowd. 5,000 tickets sold for this game. And certainly those that have come along have seen a really good bowling performance from England.
Yeah, they've been outstanding. They've just kept the pressure on the whole time, not let India get away at all, and they've just kept chipping away and picking up wickets, and they'll be looking to have a strong 6 overs here to close out the innings. Ghosh can hit a long ball, so she's crucial now for India to get some sort of total on the board that they can bowl at.
Dave gets in touch on the email tms@bbc.co.uk regarding the Sophie Ecclestone catch, which we were discussing earlier, which sort of caught and then it looked like it was sort of half grounded perhaps as she was diving forward. And Dave says if you watch carefully, Sophie Ecclestone turns her hand and pushes up with the back of her hand. In comes Freya Davis, more in just a moment. As in comes Davis now, down the leg side. Decent stop from Jones, but wide will be signalled, 59 for 6. Dave continues, it's impossible to say that no part of the ball didn't touch the ground at any stage, but then most outfield diving catches probably do make some small contact with the ground.
I'm sure they do.
No. Here is Davis again, bowling to Gosh worked into the leg side for one. Boucher runs around and slings the ball in from mid-wicket.
I think if you watch Danny Wyatt's catch, you'd be pretty certain that no part of the ball touched the ground there, but I do understand the point.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those where there has to be a degree of subjectiveness, doesn't there, where you sort of... Sometimes a fielder won't know that the ball's touched the ground. You look at it and you trust that the umpires, if they are concerned, will come and have a check of it and see. Freya Davis is going to bowl round the wicket to Dipti Sharma. Keeper standing up to the stumps. Two back fielders on the leg side boundary. As Davis sprints in now, and it's one of those fielders that's going to have to move over to pick up the ball from deep mid-wicket. Freya Kemp out there. Tall figure throws in left-handed. And the score 61 for 6. It has been not necessarily an innings that India will look back on with an enormous amount of fondness so far.
Yeah, absolutely not. I would say it's been a bit of a horror innings for India thus far.
Here comes Davis bowling, pushed off the back foot, and that's stopped by Danny Wyatt at point. And there's no run there.
It'll be an innings they, up until now, will want to forget. They have just never got going. Pretty much from the moment Shafali Verma got out, they've really struggled. And when you just keep losing wickets, you can't get any sort of partnership. It's really hard to then post any sort of total.
Here is Freya Davis again. Running in 3 balls left of the 15th over. It's a full delivery, pace taken off the ball, but really nicely played. Rika Ghosh has found that gap and is going to find 4 runs. Sarah Glenn and Danny Wyatt can't get there. And just threading the needle between short third and backward point as the ball heads down. It's that single tier of supporters in front of the flats. And it was well bowled, slower ball from Davis, but it was weighted on and nicely played.
Yeah, it's a really good shot from Rika Ghosh. She's a really talented batter. I was chatting to Smriti Mandana in the 100, and she couldn't believe that she wasn't in the Commonwealth Games squad, and she said she is someone she stays and watch bats in the nets.
Here comes Davis bowling a quicker delivery this time on middle stump. Ghosh pushes the ball back to Eccleston at mid-off. No run, 1 ball left of the 15th over. Current projected score is 88. They went at 6 and over, they'd get to 96. They've got to be hoping for 100 at least here, Anya.
Yeah, that's got to be the first thing they try and target realistically. You would think would need plenty more than that, but just over 5 overs remaining, 30 balls. If you can get 40, 45 runs, try and get yourself up to sort of 110 if you can.
Freya Davis in to conclude the over. Well, it won't be the conclusion of the over because it's a wide that isn't taken cleanly by Jones. And so there's 1 more onto the score, which now stands at 67 for 6 because they ran through, scrambled an extra run in there as well.
I'd say that would be the only blemish for England. Would be a few wides, I reckon.
6 in the innings so far.
That could be the only thing I reckon that you could level at them, is there's been a few wides. Izzy Wong in her second over, few here from Freya Davies. Apart from that, it's been pretty exemplary.
Davis kicking up those heels, running away from us. And again, Dipti Sharma looking for the 2 rather than the boundary, and should get them as well because he's delicately pushed the ball into space. And the throw comes in somewhat wayward from Davis off her own bowling. And though she dived, Rika Ghosh, there was no need. Safely home. 69 for 6 is the score. 15 overs gone. Anya Shrubsole, some more thoughts from you. And then Melissa will be back with us.
5 overs to go here for India. 30 balls. They'll be thinking if they can get somewhere in the region of 40, maybe 50 runs if things go really well. That will get them up to 110, somewhere between 110 and 120. You'd still think that wouldn't be enough here, but it at least gives them something to bowl at.
Gives their bowlers a bit more confidence going out there. They'll know they'll need to take early wickets to put England into a compromising position, but for now it's not a nice tale for India. 4.6 runs per over. And it looks as if Sarah Glenn coming into the attack again. I had a question for you about why didn't India maybe put Ghosh in sooner? 'Cause she's got a pretty healthy strike rate. She's quite an attacking, dynamic player. She's quite positive as well. And it just feels like she could have done something a bit sooner in the innings. She's 10 off 9 and hasn't struggled as much as some of the other batters out there.
Yeah, I guess there's definitely an argument for that. See if she can come in and almost counter-attack and try and put some pressure back on England. They've had it all their own way so far, and India have needed someone who can kind of stem that flow.
Glenn walks into bowl, but been called dead ball by umpire Sue Redfern. Let's try that one again. Here she comes. Jumps into the crease and bowls a fuller ball. It's spooned back to her by Risha Ghosh for no run. 69 for 6 the score.
Just been reminded saying stem that flow. The other night at Derby on commentary, Alex Hartley was speaking and it was in the... I'll carry on in a minute.
Here comes Glenn, and that's driven hard and firm. That finds cover. No run.
It was pre-match before the game, and Alex was speaking, and she started talking, and she said, "Oh, we want to flow the stem of runs," and I was cracking up next to her. I couldn't. I was trying so hard not to laugh.
Glenn bowls a low full toss, which is swept out to deep backward square, and they settle on just the single. 70 for 6. It's very easy to get your words mixed up on radio.
It wasn't on radio, it was on TV.
Not on radio,
it was worse.
on TV.
It was on telly, it was worse, and I was stood there cracking up next to her, trying so hard not to laugh.
Was it said with quite a lot of confidence as well?
So much confidence. But I think as she said it, she went, "Flow the stem."
Those ones always sound better in your head. Glenn coming around.
It wasn't on radio, it was on TV.
Not on radio,
it was worse.
on TV.
It was on telly, it was worse, and I was stood there cracking up next to her, trying so hard not to laugh.
Was it said with quite a lot of confidence as well?
So much confidence. But I think as she said it, she went, "Flow the stem."
Those ones always sound better in your head. Glenn coming around the wicket. Deepti Sharma. She sweeps that one fine. A shy at the stumps. The non-striker's end there from the fielder at short fine leg. And the chance of buzzers here. They're running back for a second as a throw came in to Glenn. She missed it. There was a diving Deepti Sharma who's now covered in dust and dirt. But in the end, they get back for 2 runs, and positive intent from India. They're alert out there in the middle. Just a tiny little shot like that picks you up 2 runs. My hopes of there being a 3 in this innings have not yet gone. There's a slight pause here as Deepti Sharma's just taking some time to, I think, readjust her thigh pad. She was very much down in the dirt and had to jump up within a second and rush back to the striker's end. She's 21 off 22 balls, and Glenn bowls one. She hoiks it away on the onside, out towards deep mid-wicket. They come for 1, should come back for 2. Ghosh has already made it back to the non-striker's end. 74 for 6 now. These 2s just are going to be crucial for India. They have plenty of bowling options, that's for sure. Say Rana bowled fantastically on Tuesday at Derby. She'll be key for India. Here comes Glenn. Bowls straight to delivery, worked into the onside by Sharma. This time straight to deep mid-wicket, and they settle on just the single. 16 overs gone, 75 for 6. So if they were to get to that 100 mark, they need 25 runs from these last 4 overs. So it's pretty doable with these 2 in the middle. They have a few wickets in hand.
Yeah, I think they'll be wanting more than that. That will be an absolute minimum. I think they'll be, like I say, maybe looking more at that kind of 110, 115, that sort of mark. I think the key thing is going to be those, yes, boundary, but it's going to be those 2s. The boundaries are a decent size here at Bristol, particularly square of the wicket, which is really good to see. You see the England fielders kind of in off the rope a little bit. So getting it into those gaps, running those 2s, it's going to be about that as much as it is boundary hitting.
Eccleston bounds into the crease, an attempted sweep from Sharma, and Amy Jones here has taken it stumping. The umpire's finger went straight up, and I'm not quite sure what's happened there, Andy Shavsar.
I think Deepti Sharma kind of almost toppled out of her crease by the looks of it. Played a sweep. I think she was in her crease, and then it kind of looked like she almost toppled over, and Amy Jones whipped the bails off.
Well, it's the 7th wicket to fall for India. Just seeing this replay here, it was outside the off stump, looked to pull it to the leg side, and yes, she just lost her balance. Her foot went up for a second, went back, and she's just wandered out of her crease. I'm not sure whether she thought Amy Jones had missed it. Jones waited patiently there as well, because so Deepti Sharma's foot raised just a little bit, went back down again, and then she looked as if she was going off for a run. It's pretty poor cricket.
It's really poor cricket. I think we've got to call a spade here. That was some pretty poor cricket from Deepti Sharma. She'd done so well, kind of worked her way through this innings, and then just what had a little wonder.
And this is a hat-trick ball. We have just been announced by the mysterious voice in the sky. So here we go. Eccleston comes into bowl and defended. Back to her for no run. I think that was probably the most underwhelming hat-trick ball I've seen. They didn't even put a slip in. I feel like you have to, for a hat-trick ball, put in one comically close fielder. Eccleston bowling again to Pooja Vastrika, who's pushing that to Bouchier at mid-wicket for no run. And suddenly that wicket of Sharma, just almost another blow for India in reaching that 100 mark. Still 25 runs to go. Eccleston bowls, and there's a faintest edge. In fact, they've hit it straight to Bouchier there, and if she'd picked up cleanly, then that may have been another simple bit of keeping work there for Amy Jones. But it's not too often you see Bouchier there make a mistake. She's so good in the inner ring. Maybe she just thought she'd let them have the single. She wants to make it a bit more of a competitive game.
I think she was too worried about throwing the ball before she'd picked it up.
It's like the words getting mixed up. Sometimes you get the order of fielding mixed up too. Here comes Eccleston, full, driven past the outstretched hands of the fielder, and it's deflected slightly off their finger. Maya Bouchier then dived to try and catch it again and bridged over it, and India have miraculously come back for just the 2 runs. It's a good solid drive there.
I think Alice Capsey's got a bit of a hand on it, then Bouchier not got a hand on it, diving behind her, and then third fielder in the queue, Freya Kemp, just runs around and picks it up.
Third time lucky.
Always the way.
78 for 7 then India. 1 ball left in this Eccleston over. She comes round the wicket, and this one's poked around the corner by, the fielder at deep mid-wicket swings round to pick that one up, and 17 overs gone. 79 for 7 now India. Eccleston's still got 1 over left in the bank. She's 2 for 13 so far. It's a fantastic night for bowlers and their stats, if they're eager stat people. It's going to be great for the economy rates.
Absolutely, economy rates, wickets for people. Be a very happy set of bowlers and a happy captain out there at the minute.
It's got quite dark here at Bristol now, playing under this night sky. We saw a clip of the India dugout where they looked a little bit cold, with towels around their heads and sorts, and England players looked completely unfazed. I mean, just what is the difference between playing in the peak of summer, playing in the 100 recently, and then having to go out here in the evening in September where the temperature's changed? Is it quite unpleasant, or do you just get through it all?
I think it's quite unpleasant, but to be fair, I thought the weather at the start of the 100 was quite unpleasant. It was far too hot.
It's either too hot or too
British.
cold.
It is British, isn't it? It's either, if it's too hot, we're not happy. If it's too cold, we're not happy. There's about a 2-degree window of acceptable weather conditions.
There must be about 5 days of the year where it's actually perfect. Izzy Wong then charging in towards us, and that's back of a length, flat batted over the head of extra cover. Don't know why. Sophia Dunkley having to come round and cut that one off. She does. They come back for 2 runs. Wong's bowled. Well, she's into her 4th over now, 1 for 10. It's been a good spell for her, of course. Her coming into the team, replacing Lauren Bell, who played in the first 2 T20s. And you've played with Lauren Bell with the Southern Vipers. How do you think she got on with those first 2 games? Got the new ball as well, making her T20 international debut. Must have been a nice thing to see her out there. And Izzy Wong bowling, and that's hoiked over the head of mid-on for 4. 1 bounces to the boundary rope, and Gosh has got hold of that one. There's an immediate change in the field as fine leg comes up in the ring. Long on's going to stay out there after retrieving the ball. And a powerful blow using the pace of the ball for Izzy Wong.
She's a very talented player, is Ruchi Ghosh. She can hit a long ball, that is for sure.
Amy Jones here just getting involved. Make sure this fielding change is to the satisfaction of her bowl. She's now got a deep square, deep mid-wicket. Long on, a deep cover. she's coming into bowl to Gosh. A slower ball, which is paddled over her shoulder, racing away towards the boundary rope. And another 4 consecutive 4s. This is finally what we've been waiting for. And Gosh is providing for India. She moves on to 24. Score 89 for 7.
That's really good batting. It's toying with the England fielders. You hit the ball over long on, you put long on back, you bring up fine leg, hit the ball over, fine leg then, and now you see fine leg coming back, and it just puts that doubt in your mind as a bowler. What am I going to bowl now?
And it was almost close to being scooped right into her own helmet, which has quite a lot of tape round it as it is. So at least there's tape on the helmet and not on her head. But she had to swerve out the way of that one. I must say, I've attempted the ramp a few times. It's always gone into my head. No chance. Wong bowls the back of a length one, which is flat batted over her head this time. Third 4 in a row, maybe. It just teases the fielder. Freya Kemp down there all the way to the boundary rope, and suddenly this over for India. 2-4-4-4, and the score 93 for 7. Just a bit of that impetus they needed.
Yeah, this is brilliant batting from Richa Ghosh. She is really making Izzy Wong work hard here. I think that wasn't as short as Izzy Wong wanted it to be with mid-on and mid-off up inside the ring. She probably wanted that to be more kind of chest high.
It's good to see there. Who's at mid-off? Coming over to speak to Izzy Wong.
Sophie Eccleston, I think, is there.
It's this almost co-captaincy from England there. Experienced bowler giving Izzy Wong a bit of advice, and she bowls a slower ball, which is tickled round the corner to Glenn at short fine leg, and they get through for just a single. Good reply there from Izzy Wong, just rolling her fingers over that one, and it always came out like a leg spinner.
Yeah, it was a good ball from Izzy Wong, taking all the pace out of it, made it so that even the ramp shot kind of wouldn't get past fine leg. I think she'll just be pleased to have a different batter on strike here.
Slower balls have worked well for England in this inning. She bowls to Vastrika, who just drops that into the onside. Both Jones and Wong in pursuit there, trying to cull off that 2. They do successfully. Just another single taken. So an expensive over there from Wong. Her figures suddenly gone to 1 for 24 of her 4, which on any other day you would be quite happy with, but I think she'd be quite disappointed with that final over of hers. 95 for 7 the score. 18 overs gone. And speaking of Wong, as I was going back to, I slightly mentioned Lauren Bell's inclusion in these first 2 T20s. Dropped for this game. What were your thoughts on that one, and how she adapted to this England T20 team?
Yeah, I thought she bowled really well. Obviously bowling in the power play at 2 really dynamic opening batters is always going to be tricky, but I think it was more carry on in a minute.
Eccleston in, down the leg side, and another appeal there from Amy Jones for a stumping. It would have been a tight one, and Vastrika just raising her foot in the crease, and Jones studied the crease afterwards just to try and replay the image to suss out whether it was out. England aren't overly celebrating, but Sue Redfern has sent it upstairs, so here we go again. 95 for 7, so this was another one gone. There'd be a big blow for India. Just been consistent wickets falling for them. It was going down the leg side from Eccleston, so it will be a wide. A good take from Jones down the leg side. Vastrika there just losing her balance a bit. We don't have the best angle there. We're seeing a front on angle at the moment to make sure there was no bat involved. Checking ultra edge. Nothing there. It's a flat line through to the keeper. Well, even though we have an awful angle, what are your thoughts on your first impression?
Well, Vastrika looks pretty confident this is going to be not out. She's got her foot back down.
It's a long process here. Is her foot still grounded in the crease whilst the bails are taken off? So she will be not out, or at least we'll presume not out. It was a very long time for quite a simple decision in the end, but the umpires have to check. The crowd here getting into this game with those boundaries from Ghosh in the last over. They've got a bit more vocal. Plenty of England and India fans. That one's on the legs of Vastrika. She works it out to deep mid-wicket. Danny Wyatt firing him from the boundary. Gets that one to the non-striker's end, and India get back for 2. Eccleston there has fielded the ball, or fielded the throw in from Danny Wyatt, and launched it over her shoulder. was quite lucky that didn't go over the inner ring.
She was going for the old backhand flick and got it horribly wrong.
Maya Boucher, who had run up to the stumps to receive that one, couldn't even get a hand near it. So another 2 runs to India's total, 98 for 7. Just a pause in play here as I think the umpires are checking something again. Maybe another run short. We had to check one earlier from Deepti Sharma, who probably slid her bat over the line by the barest of margins. And yeah, it's another one short. Question: did she tap her bat in? Yes, she did. But it's good to make sure the technology works. Constantly checking it. It's all going. It all is. So Eccleston, just the 1 ball into this over. She bowled that wide. Bowls a slower one, which is pushed past her down to long on. Comes into field, and they pick up a single, an underarm throw into the non-strikers in here, just to calm things down. No more wayward throws. 99 for 7 then. India getting closer to that 100 landmark. And Eccleston from almost behind the umpire comes into bowl in a reverse paddle past Jones, past the fielder at short fine leg, just slowing up, and one will field back to Jones for another 2 runs added to India's total when they've got past that 100 mark. 101 for 7, and there's a small number of India fans to our right. I think I can see 4 India flags in the crowd who were cheering that one extra loud. And when the score was 35 for 5, I must say I wasn't expecting it to go this far. So it's a good recovery from India as this one's just hit over the head of extra cover. Alice Capsey and Maya Boucher, they're both running backwards, looking over their shoulder, seeing if the catch was to be taken. And the ball just kept going, allowing India to get back for another 2 runs. It was a bit of a strange shot there.
Yeah, she's trying to... The fielders are all up on the offside, apart from a long off, and she's just trying to get it up and over them and just tease the fielders.
Eccleston in, a reverse sweep and an appeal for LBW. Eccleston didn't even turn her back. She knew the umpire's finger was going up. Gosh, looking to reverse sweep. What was probably actually just a good delivery to stand there and swing, because it was a low full toss, it was straight. And India have sent it upstairs here for a review. I mean, from the confidence of Eccleston's reaction, I think that maybe this is a bit of a last-ditch attempt to review from India.
Yeah, I think she's the batter who can do the most amount of damage at the end, so I think it's worth a review. But if it's not out, Sophie Eccleston's sold us all a dummy.
It wasn't a full toss, I was mistaken there. It did bounce very full and has almost tickled the heel of the back leg. We can see both middle stump and leg stump behind. Anya Shabzal's fingers going up.
So, I don't think Richard Gosh needs to play that shot. She's such a good striker of the ball. See, in the women's game, you can only have 4 fielders out on the boundary. There's always a kind of boundary option somewhere. I just don't see that as a shot that she necessarily needs to play.
And in that situation there, I mean, good placement from England to force her to play a shot she wouldn't normally, but she'd given herself room the delivery before and got it over the inner ring. You just feel as if from a fuller delivery, maybe she could have just lofted that one in a drive over the covers. But we're just having a check here to see whether there's a bit of bat involved, because there is the smallest speck on ultra edge around the time the ball passes the bat. It's tiny. I think I'm going to have to get my glasses on just to see it.
I think it's as the ball has gone past the bat, as it looks like there's a gap though, and there's that tiny little speck.
It's one of those ones where there's a lot of things involved at once. The bat's in the way, the front pad, there may be a bit of the bat hitting the ground, but they've moved on to ball tracking. And here we go, impact in line, and the ball hitting the lower half of the leg stump. Very, very comfortable decision in the end, and it will be the end of it. I mean, a dynamic innings there from Gosh, who has given her team just a bit of something to bowl at, got India past the 100 mark, and has probably been the standout of the Indian batters so far.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, in the context of this innings, 33 off 22 is a really good innings, and she is a really exciting talent. She's someone to keep an eye on for many years to come, and I think she'll be a part of this India T20 team for many, many years.
Brings Radha Yadav to the crease, who, last time I saw her, she took a particularly nasty fall at Durham during the first T20, which was one of the concerns of Captain Harmanpreet Kaur about the conditions up in Durham, where I can confirm it was very cold and a bit miserable. But they kept going as Eccleston bowls, and that's a thin edge down to the boundary, or a thick edge I should say. It's flying away for 4. What a way to get off the mark there from Radha Yadav. Picks up a boundary for her team to finish 19th over. 107 for 8 the score.
25 runs and 3 wickets.
And the run rate from India's moved up to 5.6. So 1 over left. They've just got to give it a bit of a bosh, Anna.
Yeah, it's almost a free hit pretty much every ball. She's done really well to edge a ball that was missing leg stump down to the 3rd man boundary for 4. Sophie Eccleston a bit disappointed, but she's bowled brilliantly tonight. 3 wickets. She's not the number 1 bowler in the world for nothing.
Interestingly enough, she's still got those very dramatic sunglasses, Sophie Eccleston, despite the night sky. I presume used for the floodlights, but I did meet a young girl at the Durham T20 who thought that Sophie Eccleston had to wear a blindfold whilst playing cricket because they were so big, her sunglasses. Here comes Freya Davies for the final over. It's full and driven to mid-off, a shy at the non-striker's end, and no fielders backing up, which may allow India to come back for a second. They opt not to in the end, and just a single added to the total, 108 for 8. So yeah, she thought that Sophie Eccleston had to wear a blindfold whilst playing. Maybe because she's so good, it needs to be made, an equal advantage to everyone else.
I think that's fair enough.
I think that would be fair. Just should know. I mean, it'd be interesting in the field. Maybe just wear the blindfold when she's bowling. Davis running in towards us, bowls to Radha Yadav for low full toss, a slower ball, which she can only drive to Boucher extra cover. And another single taken. Just ticking this scorecard along. 109 for 8 now.
I must admit, I don't understand the sunglasses in the floodlights.
It
makes no sense to me.
As I said that, I was thinking, is this exposing me for my lack of cricket knowledge that I've suggested sunglasses in floodlights? Davis bowls, and this one's lofted over her head by Vastrika. Not timed, so it just plugs in the outfield, but allows them to come back for 2 as the fielder down there, Freya Kemp, had to run in from these quite vast boundaries. And the score, 111 for 8 now. 3 balls left in this innings. I mean, would sunglasses work? Looking at, I don't really want to look directly at a floodlight. I feel like it's the same as looking directly at the sun. But don't you have a floodlight named after you? Was that a rumour I heard? Alex Hartley has just said she started that rumour. Here comes Davis, giving herself some room and slashing this one through the covers as Vastrika runs away for 4 runs. India's score 115 for 8 now. Fighting till the very end, and a good shot from Vastrika, giving herself some room, recognising that all the fielders were up on the offside. And a good shot. I mean, I think you're still a bit stunned that Alex Hartley's created the rumour about you being named after a floodlight. It's quite
it's a niche
It's
rumour.
a very niche rumour. There's
not
a lot
one that I think
ones.
people are particularly bothered with either, but fair enough. Yeah, it's just that one over
Just
there
that
on the
one.
right. Yeah.
Is there a little plaque on it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you
That
object?
is the Anya Shrubsole floodlight.
I mean, would you object to be had a floodlight dedicated to you?
Absolutely not.
There we go.
It'd be great.
If anyone's listening here at the Bristol County Ground, we're on a floodlight. That one's a slower ball, drilled past extra cover, should be another 4. Vastrika here playing a neat little innings for India in the latter stages of this game. 20 now with 11 deliveries. Or have I been a bit ahead of the score? I've been a bit too keen. It's 16 off 10. Again, gives herself a glorious shot.
Yeah, the 4 before was just a brilliant piece of batting. Freya Davies did nothing wrong. She hit pretty much a perfect Yorker through point for 4. That one a little bit full, a little bit wide, and Vastrika's a really dangerous cricketer as well. For someone who's quite small in stature, she hits a really long ball.
Final ball of the innings then. Davis in to Vastrika, who flicks that one off her legs out towards the deep square boundary. A good bit of work on the boundary in the end by Alice Capsey. A bit of teamwork between herself and Danny Wyatt, and they come back for 3. We've done it. The final ball of the innings. There's
Unless
been
it's a 4 on the boundary.
Unless there's a 4. I think Capsey there was sprawled out on the boundary rope, flicked the ball back, and it was one of those ones where it kept moving towards her, and she had to almost just breathe in and hope that it didn't touch a bit of her jumper. just watching this replay for confirmation, the umpires are having to check. It was actually her legs in the end. She had to lift them right. It was like watching her play a game of Twister, desperately trying not to touch the ball, and I think she's done a good job there. The umpires seem satisfied. So it will be 3 runs to finish the innings, which means that India finish on 122 for 8 off their 20 overs. She really has quite a fun expression on her face as well, as the ball kept chasing her towards the boundary rope. It was almost fear. But conclusion of that innings, we'll just run you through the scorecard. Shafali Verma gone early for India for 5 off 12 balls bowled by Wong. Smriti Mandana as well, gone for 9 off just 8 balls, and that was that slightly controversial one off the bowling of Bryony Smith. A fantastic catch from Eccleston down the ground, and not sure whether the ball was grounded, but the umpires didn't check. Meghna gone for 0 off 9 balls. Harmanpreet Kaur, the captain, 5 off 14. It was looking tricky out there. Hemlata 0, and then came the slight resistance of Deepti Sharma, 24 off 25 balls, and really it was India's tail enders who brought them some runs at the end. Sneh Rana 8 runs to her. Risha Ghosh 33 off 22 balls, and she's the one who has propelled India towards, what do you say, a defendable total. And then at the end there, Pooja Vastrika 19 not out alongside Radha Yadav 5 not out. And just looking at these England bowlers, a wicket to Bryony Smith, a wicket to Freya Davis, 1 to Izzy Wong as well, but it was the spin duo of Sarah Glenn, 2 wickets for her, and Sophie Eccleston 3, which have really got England into a good position. I mean, everything seemed to go to plan for England there in that innings. Anya, for you, who were the standouts in that, or was it just really everyone out there on the pitch?
I think England had a really strong power play with Izzy Wong and all of those, her bowling really well in that power play, Freya Davies, Bryony Smith, and that really set them up for the whole innings. Picked some wickets up early, and then they just kept taking wickets, kept building pressure, and even with a good end to the innings for India, you would think 122 is below par, and England should chase these down.
Well, thank you, Anya. We will hear more from Anya Shrubsole in the second innings. But for now, the next few minutes here on 5 Sports Extra, we're going to hear a little bit from the latest episode of the BBC Stumped podcast. This week, the world has been remembering Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch, who died at Balmoral aged 96 after reigning for 70 years. And one person who has met the Queen on more than one occasion is former England captain Charlotte Edwards. And Alison Mitchell spoke to Charlotte and firstly asked her what it was like to meet the Queen.
The first time was when I was quite young, actually. I got invited to Buckingham Palace as a young achiever, and unbelievable moment. And then had obviously the honour of meeting her a few more times through cricket in the years that I played, and probably the most memorable, receiving my CBE at Windsor Castle in 2014. So feel very fortunate to have met her.
Hello, Charlotte. Nice to see you and talk to you again.
Hi, Jim.
It's well known that the Queen has a love of horse racing. In fact, one of Australia's leading trainers, Chris Waller, is going to the funeral. But as we've been discussing, she did attend cricket matches on numerous occasions. 2013, the Ashes Test at Lord's, when you managed to have a conversation with her. What did you talk about?
Yeah, it's probably my claim to fame, actually, Jim. I was really lucky in the committee room to be asked to sort of sit by her. Me and James Sutherland had sort of 5 minutes with her, and in that time that I was with her, Joe Root actually reviewed a decision, and it was probably one of the first years DRS was brought in, actually. She asked me straight away, as soon as Joe Root had given the sign, what did that mean? So my claim to fame is I taught the Queen DRS.
I love it.
Hopefully successfully, and she did tell me she'd go home and tell Philip. Yeah, it was a wonderful moment. I've never forgotten it, and she'll always remember that I taught her the DRS ruling.
Yeah, Charlotte, hi, this is Charu Sharma from India. Glad you could teach the Queen something, but if we can go back to the moment that she walked into the long room, what's your memory of that? How special was it for you and those surrounding you?
Yeah, I was actually explaining to a few of the players I coached the other day that it was probably one of those moments you'll never forget. It was when she walked into that Lord's long room, it was like literally you could not hear a pin drop, it was unbelievable. It was, as Stokes said, probably that deafening silence. And also when I received my CBE and singing, the anthem when she walks in, like literally the hairs on the back of her neck stood up. It was such a special moment. I remember it like it was yesterday. So every person that has met her has had that type of feeling.
Did you have to be well briefed before meeting her? I mean, I was at a charity game recently where another member of the royal family was there, and there were big rehearsals for us just about where we would stand and what we ought to do. What was it like when Her Majesty was visiting?
Yeah, I remember at Lord's it being, certain things we had to say, obviously, Her Majesty on when you first speak to her, and then Ma'am from there on. I remember my CBE, just how you had to address her when you went to meet her, and I was so nervous about the curtsy. Yeah, there was just so many things. It was just, I don't think I've ever been that nervous in my life, and I've played in some pretty big games of cricket. But meeting the Queen and obviously her then speaking to me, and she's so lovely and makes you feel so welcome as well. She said how well the women had been doing. The men needed to play better. This was back in 2014. So, but yeah, it was pretty special, but very nerve-wracking.
Was that when she ordered your CBE?
CBE,
yeah. So she had some words for you then. That's nice.
Philip had kept her up to date, I think, on how the women had been doing, I think.
Did you get a sense that she was a fan of the DRS?
She didn't really give me much, to be fair, Ali. But I think she thought it was a good idea, the fact that someone could review their decision and not just be out, I think. But I think it was successfully overturned as well, so that was a good one.
Yes, historically she's been seen at many times. I've seen her myself at Windsor Castle with the royal household team that plays there. She'd often make a visit. So did you get a sense that she was a fan of the game of cricket?
I think she just liked sport, didn't she? And that was what I guess was the overriding feeling for me on Friday. We obviously had our game cancelled, and a lot of people like Ben said that, I think she'd want sport to keep being played and so on. So I sense, I think horse racing was her first love. Let's hope cricket was our second love, I think.
So you detailed the times when you'd met the Queen more one-on-one. One of those other times, was it a reception at Buckingham Palace with your England team?
Yeah, that was in 2005 when we won the Ashes, and both teams were there. And I've got a lovely photo at home with us, with her and Prince Philip, as a team. And again, those moments will live with us for all forever, especially both the teams that were there. And it was a lovely reception, and I feel, as I say, so lucky to have had those moments.
Lottie, thanks so much for sharing your memories. And I suppose just one final reflective note with you in particular is the fact that the Queen was able to sort of enter the long room early in her 70-year reign, before women were technically allowed to be in the long room. She, of course, had a dispensation, but when we think now that where the game is, and England women have got a one-day international at Lord's coming up in a couple of Saturdays' time, that the game really does look so different now from when she first began her reign all those years ago.
Yeah, the game's unrecognisable, and I think we're all so proud of where it's at right now. Just being there the last week with the 100 final, and to have the upcoming international, and then the Rachel Hale-Flint trophy on the Sunday as well. So things have moved pretty quickly, and all for the good of the game, and we're all really proud of that.
That was Charlotte Edwards speaking on the latest episode of BBC Stumped, which you can download on the BBC Sounds app. But back here at Bristol, ready for the second innings. 123 runs needed for England to win this series-deciding game. Alex Hartley is next to me. Now, it's a cold night in Bristol in September. You can see a lot of the crowd, and particularly the Indian team, look quite cold as well. So, I mean, it's not going to be easy for the England batters. Certainly, it's a slightly lower total, but it's also not going to be easy to field out there in the cold.
No, it's not, especially for India. We saw how they fielded at Chesterley Street the other day when it was cold, it was wet. It's not wet here tonight, it is dry. But India, they're just going to have to keep buzzing around. Most of them have got long sleeve jumpers on, long sleeve t-shirts, and they're just going to have to just keep moving, keep warm. But these low totals quite often bring the most exciting games. India, brilliant. They've done really, really well to get to the target that they have. At one stage, they genuinely looked like they were going to scrape towards 90. So yeah, it's not going to be easy for England, but you feel going into this innings that it should be England's game.
And there's a lot of talk around India as a T20 unit that teams like to put them into bat first because often they respond better chasing because they're being told the run rate they have to go at, so they play a bit more dynamically. So do you think that was a tactical decision from England here and they wanted to be the ones chasing down under the floodlights?
I think both games the team chasing has won. So they'll have looked at that, they'll have said, right, under the lights, the ball will get wet, it is easier to chase under the lights, the ball will skid on a little bit more as it gets more and more dewy. So they'll have definitely spoken about that, and when you look at series and the team chasing both games has won, they'll have decided that they're going to bowl first, which is what happened.
And Dunkley and Wyatt are out there for England in the middle, ready for this first delivery from Renuka Singh Thakur. There's a slip in play. She bowls, and that one's drilled down the ground to a long off. First of all, from Danny Wyatt. And England off the mark. First ball.
Thakur just wide of the off stump there, looking for that in swing. She can get the ball to swing both ways, but that one didn't really do anything. She has got a slip in play for that one that goes away. And the field changes for Danny Wyatt. Long off comes up inside the ring, and deep cover goes out a little bit straighter because she likes to go up and over extra cover. So they've got a deep mid wicket and a deep cover protection either side.
Here comes Thakur there, bowling to Wyatt, who's just dropping that out to square leg for a single. Got my batters mixed up first up, but they're both off the mark now on the score 2-0.
That one bit of in swing from Thakur.
The in-swing's the more traditional route for her because, we saw at the Commonwealth Games with the new ball, she ripped through some top orders there. I got Australia 5 down within 7 or 8 overs.
Yeah, she's been brilliant since she came on the scene for India. Does get movement with the new ball.
You often see her bowl 3 overs straight up as she comes into Dunkley, who has a little waft at that one. That one's gone away again, so she's taking it in turns. Can you predict that? Should we predict the next one will go in, or is that maybe it's the double bluff?
I reckon she's going to go away again to Dunkley because Dunkley loves to play through the offside. She's got a long off, so Dunkley will be looking to hit the ball down to long off, but she's got that slip in plate, so that slip catcher will be there in case it does take the outside edge.
And here she comes again. Past the umpire, bowls, and that's a beauty of a delivery past the outside edge of Dunkley's bat, who just went back to slightly full delivery.
Yeah, she's batting so deep in her crease here, Dunkley, just to give herself as much time as possible because the keeper is up to the stumps, so she can't bat out of her crease to get ahead of the swing. So she's gone deep in her crease, she's gone the opposite way.
And that release shot of hers over mid-off. The boundary option's been cut off there, so she'll have to find another option. Thakur bowls outside the off stump, and she just happily cuts this one down the ground. They're coming back for 2 as well, and Danny Wyatt's quick hit. She gets back comfortably in the end, and England move on to 4-0. 1 ball left in this first over.
Shafali Verma now swapped with Harmanpreet Kaur. She's at long off. She gets a good old stare from the captain because she was slow setting off to that one.
She's not the fastest, Shafali Verma. We see between the wickets it looks like she's running on a bit of a sandy wicket sometimes.
Running through treacle.
Yeah. But the captain herself giving herself the responsibility of that boundary position. Thakur bowls an in-swinger, which is full and worked off the pads by Dunkley out to deep mid-wicket, finds the other boundary fielder, and that one's hammered into the surface. Back to the bowler. So the first over gone 5-0 England. That target of 123. And of course Dunkley's had a fantastic summer for England, but you would say maybe Danny Wyatt needs a few runs here tonight. Her last 5 innings with the 100 and T20s included: a first ball duck versus the Northern Superchargers, second ball duck versus the Trent Rockets in the Eliminator, then 15 in the final against the Oval Invincibles, then 24 and 6 in the series. So it's a bit of a dry spell for Wyatt.
And that's what happens in T20 cricket. You've got to accept as an opener you're you're going to go through these patches where, you know, you can be brilliant. She's one of the best openers in the world, Danny Wyatt, so she's capable of taking advantage of the power play, but you are going to have periods where you don't score runs, and that's just the nature of the game.
Well, she's the only player with a long-term strike rate above 125 since 2017. She's been ahead of the rate in this format for quite a while. But there will be Deepti Sharma now bowling to Dunkley. That's a slower delivery first up, which tickles round the corner, and the short fine leg fielder comes round to clean that one up. Picks up a single, 6 for none. It's interesting as well because the different tactics employed to Dunkley in that first over, trying to get her hitting through the covers. India and England have played each other so many times, you feel as if they've worked each other out now. The same with Danny Wyatt. You often see players or teams putting out that protection on the deep cover boundary as we have here. She loves that cut shot. She also loves driving over in the ring on the offside. But teams like to bowl on her pads, try and cramp her up as Sharma bowls outside the off stump, and it is cut out to the deep cover fielder, but for just a single. Score 7 for none. I mean, do you think part of this for Danny Wyatt is she's been around for such a long time that teams have worked her out a little bit?
I think so, but also they're keeping that extra cover region open for her, and she's so strong hitting over extra cover.
Dunkley on strike to Sharma, who's bowling straight to delivery. She's on the back foot in defence, Dunkley.
So quite often yes, Sharma is an off spinner, I'm a left arm spinner, but I'll have a deep extra cover and a deep mid wicket for Danny Wyatt in the power play and just block her strengths so she can't get boundaries.
They've done this to Dunkley with that long off fielder as well, but she cuts this one, and a good diving stop in the ring at cover keeps that one down to a dot ball in the end. Both batters set off and sent back by their partners. And that's the standards India need here in the field, with slightly below par total on the board. When she hit that, I thought that was going to be an immediate 4, but
it was a great stop.
The right hand of the fielder. In comes Deepti Sharma, and moving about in the crease, she flicks this one off her pads, Dunkley, out to deep mid-wicket. It was slightly aerial for a second, and the short mid-wicket thought they were in the game there. She definitely wasn't looking to play that shot and had to quickly adjust because she'd stepped onto the offside and then quickly whipped it off her pads.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Dunkley goes today. The last 3 times she's been dismissed in T20 cricket has all been from spin, and just a little weakness there potentially.
Sharma bowls and cuts straight to point by Wyatt, who rocks her head back in disappointment. That was a hit me delivery right in her arc, and she misses out, but 2 overs gone, 8 for none England. I mean, both of these players have struggled against spin early on. Teams have done that to Danny Wyatt recently.
Yeah, but also Dunkley's so strong against pace and Danny Wyatt is so strong against spin. That's why these two bat so well together. So one of them will obviously look to attack the seamers, one of them will look to attack the spinners. But Dunkley recently just struggling against spin, maybe moving around a little bit too much in her crease, trying to do too much.
Overcomplicating it a bit too much. I mean, we saw with that dismissal of Gosh where she was going along nicely, playing those powerful shots down the ground, and then tried to reverse sweep a straight one. That was her dismissal. Anuka Singh Thakur continues, and that one's pulled in front of mid-wicket for 4. It was a pull shot down the ground, and I'm not sure the fielder there picked it up immediately. She kind of had her hands out trying to figure out where the ball had gone, but it brings up a 4. Dunkley's first 4. She moves on to 10. England 12 for none.
Yeah, it was in the slot there from Thakur, and Sophia Dunkley is able to flat back that down the ground for 4. It was a wonderful shot, clears the front leg.
Thakur in, giving herself width at the crease, and that one slapped straight to cover. Vastrika didn't have to move.
She's nailed that, but straight to the fielder.
I think Vastrika's hands are probably hurting a little bit right now. That's one where I think I'd rather I just got my hands out the way and let it hit some part of my body.
No, then you'll get a shiner.
But that's
a bruise.
Show them off.
I do like getting cricket bruises, to be fair.
Every time you have a cricket bruise, you can walk straight into the commentary box and say, I've got a new bruise. Everyone has to see the bruise. It's the rule. Thakur bowls a slower ball, which Dunkley drives down to long off. Just a single.
She's just getting her length slightly too full here, Thakur. So she's trying to swing the ball, so she is trying to get the ball up there, but there's a difference between getting it too full and then in the slot, and then Dunkley being able to capitalise on that. Just needs to drag her length back 6 inches or so.
Yeah, it's been quite inconsistent this over so far. We mentioned she often comes on for 3 at the start of the innings. Whether she'll continue after this, we'll have to see, as that one's cut to point this time by Wyatt, looking to give herself some room and not quite finding that gap at cover. It's not the easiest pitch to bat on, though, if you bowl well. We saw the England bowlers were fantastic, and they bowled good lengths, good lines, and things just looked a bit sticky out there. Plenty of the Indian top order had strike rates well below 50.
Yeah, it was England taking early wickets, stem the flow of runs.
To Kurt, comes into bowl, and that one's cut in the air, out to deep cover. Vastrika misfields slightly, but it's not costly for India. Just another single.
Or flowed the stem of runs.
Well done.
Yes.
That was fantastic.
Sometimes you got to celebrate the little things in life, and I got my phrase right.
All very proud. 14 for none, the score. Andrew Shrubsole's still laughing, who's just come into the commentary box with a massive box of chips.
Yeah, I rate that behaviour. I'm jealous.
I rate it. The smell of chips has just engulfed our commentary box now. I count it as bullying. I'm very jealous. Takurt in, and this is cut off the back foot to extra cover by Dunkley. A misfield allows them to get through for another run.
Smithy Mandana. Sorry.
I was going to say it's just 15 for none off 3. You go.
Smithy Mandana there with the misfield, and she gives herself a little slap and says, you've got to be better than that. And she has, because they're not defending a huge target here, India, and they'll know dot balls are crucial when it comes to this run chase.
I mean, do we know how many dot balls there was in that India innings? Because they were piling up quite a lot at the start. I don't know if there's any people who follow along and score at the same time.
It's got to be a lot. I mean, I'm not a scorer. I was getting frustrated, but I enjoyed the back end of the innings.
Don't have the patience to be the scorer.
I'd forget to count.
More be the person who is in charge of pushing the sight screens back and forth. That's the job I like. It's a bit more simple. Deepti Sharma continuing, and there's a attempted paddle over the shoulder from Dunkley. It hits the toe end of her bat and just trickles to mid-wicket for no run.
I did used to score as a kid, because you get 20 quid for scoring.
You get 20 quid for scoring?
But I had a good deal with my mate, so he would actually score, and I'd just do the clicky things on the scoreboard, pull the levers,
and split the
and
money?
get a tenner. Yeah. Easiest tenner I made every weekend.
I'm still shocked that you used to get paid. Sharma bowls to Dunkley, who edges that one over the head of slip. A thick edge, which is now running towards the boundary rope, but will slow up. There's 2 Indian fielders in pursuit, and a bit of teamwork there from Renuka Singh to Kurt. Gets the ball back into the middle. There's no runner there as well. 17 for none, England. India need those early wickets. I've not been paid for scoring, so I think I've missed out on something here.
You're doing it wrong.
I'm going to go send an invoice through. Not that I do score very much. Maths isn't my forte.
Sophia Dunkley there, getting a bit lucky with that top edge that goes over slip, looking to slog the ball into the leg side.
Just a pause here as Dunkley prepares to face this next delivery from Deepti Sharma, which she inside edges this time, past or through the square leg and short fine leg fielders. Again, Tucker in pursuit, and they get through for 2 runs. Good running from England, 19 for none. This is the nightmare of a bowler. She's bowling in tandem there with Deepti Sharma, and the ball has completely followed her around. So all you want to do is go off, get a deep breath, try and get your breath back. And she's been chasing the ball down to the boundary. Dunkley waits for Sharma, who goes through with the action but doesn't deliver the ball.
Every single game she does that.
But I mean, she's trying to guess or trying to see what Dunkley was looking to do, whether she was moving about in her crease. I'm not sure Dunkley had really moved, but Sharma bowls a low full toss, which Dunkley pulls away out towards deep mid-wicket for 4. There was a fielder out there, Vastrika, running at full belt along the boundary rope, can't prevent it. And Dunkley just saying, don't do that, I'll hit you for 4 the next ball.
Well, Henry Moran's theory strikes again. Every time she does that, she bowls a rubbish delivery the ball after. And 2 full, Sophia Dunkley able to get that up and over mid-wicket. 4 runs. It's a beautiful shot from Dunkley. She clears that front leg again.
It does make you look a bit silly as a bowler as well when you do that, and you get the classic ooh from the crowd. You suddenly become the pantomime villain within 1 delivery. Here she comes again to Dunkley, who's just pushing that one back to her this time. And I thought we were about to see the pretend throw as well. That would really be the way to get the crowd against you. Well, there was 60 dot balls in India's innings, exactly half of their innings. So how they got to 122 is beyond me. Here comes Deepti Sharma using her feet as Dunkley gets it past the fielder at mid-on, who's in the ring, and it's another boundary. 27 for none, England. And because this is such a low total, things are slipping away from India quite quickly here after just 4 overs. They needed those early wickets and they've not come.
Yeah, they did indeed. It was clever batting that from Dunkley. She steps outside the off stump and then shuffles down the wicket, puts Sharma off and able to knock the ball down the ground for 4. Still only 2 fielders outside the 25-yard fielding circle because we are still in the power play.
Well, I've got some stats.
Obviously.
Got some stats.
From your dad, surely.
From my dad.
Yes.
He's come through and said that England have failed to chase 122 or 23, I think that's a typo, 12 times. And their lowest second innings scores versus India was 96 in Mumbai in 2010. And their second lowest chase versus India is 126 for 8, and also Mumbai in 2010. It wasn't a good time to chase in Mumbai in 2010.
Not a good series.
Here comes Thakur then into her 3rd over. Bowls at Wyatt, who gets that one through the gap. Extra cover and mid-off for 4. Good shot, giving herself some room. It was uppish, but it didn't matter because she found that gap perfectly. And England 31 for none now. Wyatt getting in on the boundary action.
Yeah, lovely shot from Wyatt. We say that she loves that extra cover region, and that one dissects extra cover and mid-off perfectly. And Thakur into her 3rd over in the power play. I'm not sure that's really good captaincy from Harmanpreet Kaur. Her previous over wasn't that great. She was too full. She bowled in the slot.
It feels a bit rigid.
It's almost like a creature of habit.
Yes. Not being flexible in the situation here. What it demanded. Thakur bowls and outside the off stump. Wyatt cuts into the ground. A nice bounce to the fielder at point. There was maybe just a run out on the cards there. The ball actually hit one of those used creases and popped up over the stumps. Wyatt gets home safely. She moves on to 8 off 7. Dunkley 24 off 19 at the other end. That target of 123, of course. And England 32 for none. With plenty of firepower to come. We saw on Tuesday the game at Derby that even after losing a few early wickets, England backed deep, and young Freya Kemp scoring a maiden, was it professional 50 ever? Not just for England, just ever. Here comes Thakur. Bowls slapped past extra cover. A lot of work to do for the fielder. Diving, Shafali Verma can't make it. She was up off the boundary rope. And Dunkley just gets it past her, sneaks it past her for another 4. 36 for none. Now England. Dunkley accelerating on to 28 off 20.
That was the straight bat slap from Dunkley down the ground. Shafali Verma hasn't got that much ground to cover. She actually dives over the ball, gives it the good old Sydney Harbour bridge, and it's gone for 4.
There was a almost classic face palm there from the India dugout where about 3 of the players just one of those moments. She made the ground, just didn't get her hands on it. Shafali Verma. Thakur continuing, slower ball which is drilled uppish down the ground, and a bit of an easier stop for Verma this time, who does so comfortably.
Well, she's been swapped now, so Verma has actually gone to extra cover, and Smithy Mandana was at long off because of that poor bit of fielding.
A savage from the captain.
Well, it's actually been a couple of times she's been slow to the ball. They ran a 2 earlier on in the innings when it should have only been 1, and then that misfield there that's gone for 4. And when you're defending such a low total, every run counts.
With the context of India's innings having 60 dot balls as well, India just haven't been able to get that same amount of control. Driven by Wyatt out to deep cover, settles on a single, and that completes. No, 1 ball to come. Eager, but I mean, comparison of the power plays, India's lowest power play since November 2019, and in contrast, England 38 for none. They've made, well, they're highlighting that this pitch is in fact a good batting surface. Gosh did that as well for India, but just really shows how well England's bowlers were in the power play.
Yeah, do you know what I would love to happen, and it never happens? England and India to have a good day on the same day, so we've got a belting game of cricket. Well, not seemed to happen for a while.
They're probably the 2 most evenly set up teams in women's cricket at the moment, underneath the hierarchy of Australia up at the top. That's Takurt into Dunkley, bowls a full delivery and driven to Verma at an extra cover position, and she fields that one cleanly. It gets a whoop from the crowd and it completes 5 overs, 38 for none, England. A few more thoughts from you, Alex, and then it will be Henry.
Yeah, it's been brilliant from England so far. After 5 overs, India were 18 for 2. England, in comparison, are 38 for none. So the difference there, absolutely massive between England and India. And India, they need to take wickets if they're going to win this game.
England 20 runs ahead of where India were at this point in their innings. England 38 without loss. India at this point were just 18 for 2. There's an over left of the power play. And England in charge under the floodlights in Bristol. We've had Gloucestershire's James Bracey with us in the commentary box.
Yes.
Which is very nice.
It's lovely. Loved his cargo trousers. A bit of me. Nearly asked where he got them from.
Danny Wyatt is deep in the crease, chopping that ball out towards deep cover for a single. And the score moves to 39 without loss.
But yeah, he's been lingering at the back, just having a listen, seeing how it all works. Said he only lives over the road, so I thought he'd pop down and come and watch a bit of cricket.
Yeah, very nice to see him too. Good player. A couple of important championship matches. It's Warwickshire and Yorkshire for Gloucestershire to come. In comes Deepti Sharma, bowling to Dunkley, hits that ball into the covers. There won't be a run there. It's a good piece of fielding.
He gave it the classic, surely we can't go all season without winning a game.
Well, that's risky. I mean, not even your Welsh Fireside did that.
We were 1 from 14 if we did the joint men's and women's table. It was not a good year to be a Welsh Fire fan or player.
Dunkley's on 29. Here comes Deepti Sharma. Dunkley works that off the pads, but only as far as the fielder Renakut Singh Thakur waiting at fine leg. 39 without loss. The target is 123. Dunkley and Wyatt have got England off to a good start.
Yeah, they have. Dunkley, 29 off 24. She's the one that's really going. Wyatt's only faced 9 deliveries so far in this power play. She's 10 not out.
Here is Sharma. Bowling to Dunkley onto the toes, worked into the leg side out towards deep mid wicket for 1. They'll turn for the second. They'll have to be quick. Throw comes in. It's a good one. And they will check upstairs, I should think. No, a shake of the head from Sue Redfern. It was a good dive from Danny Wyatt, who is so quick. But it's a dangerous arm to test, Pooja Vastrika.
Yeah,
she does well.
She's got a brilliant throw. Vastrika, that one putting Danny Wyatt in a bit of trouble, but she's safely back. And she grounds it back after she's got in the crease, so she just needs to ground that slightly earlier. Give it the good old hoover.
Here is Deepti Sharma again. Tosses the ball from one hand to the other. It's Dunkley waiting with this quite open stance. The right-hander gives herself some room and whips that away into the leg side for 4. She plays in such an interesting way with that bottom hand really dominating. It's hard to set fields to Sophia Dunkley.
Yeah, it is indeed, and that's a brilliant shot because she stepped outside of off stump to give herself room to play that sweep shot into the leg side. And a thick bottom edge, but it still races to the boundary. And just a shot of a player with confidence, that one from Dunkley.
Deepti Sharma having a conversation now with Rika Ghosh, the keeper. 45 without loss. Anya's grabbed her keys and sunglasses. She could easily have left them.
I just thought.
Here comes Deepti Sharma. Oh, full toss, which Dunkley whacks into the leg side, but only as far as Renika Singh Thakur behind square on the leg side.
She's putting her glasses on so she can see. And I was like, well, you not need them for the first innings, but you had your contact lenses in. There we go. So the contact lenses have been whipped out and the spectacles are on.
Right then, 20 for 3 was India's score at the end of the power play. England are going along a little better than that. At a run rate of 7.5, the score is 45 without loss, chasing 123, not just to win this game, Alex, but also to win the series.
Yeah, they've been really good today, England. Sophia Dunkley edging one over the slips, but other than that, it's been chanceless. India had a shocking power play, and they were always playing catch up from then. When you lose 3 wickets in the power play, you only get 20 runs on the board. It's always going to be tough. I think for me there, India bowling the same two bowlers in the power play is a little bit too predictable maybe.
England really mixed it up in those first 6 overs.
And India just stuck to the 2 bowlers, therefore England knew what was coming. They knew that they could settle.
Left arm spinner Radha Yadav bowling to Danny Wyatt, who'll rock back deep in the crease, pushes the ball out to deep cover where Fastrika will feel and throw in on the bounce out towards our left, where you sometimes get temporary seating for the...
I thought it looked different.
Yeah, for the World Cup in 2019 there was a big block of temporary seating over there. I think there was during the 2017 World Cup as well, as I recall. You played here.
I can't remember that far back, Henry.
I know. Here is Yadav. Round the wicket, there's a slip waiting. Dunkley is in position early to paddle that. Really nicely played. Hasn't quite got the timing perfectly to ensure 4 runs, but she will get a couple. Snape Rana runs round from slip to pick up. And England eking their way towards the 50. 48 without loss.
They're going along really nicely, these two. They're also managing to manipulate the field really well, find the gaps. That paddle there from Dunkley. It's a lovely shot.
Dunkley's on 37, Wyatt on 11. And it's Dunkley again looking to paddle it. This time it comes off the outer half of the bat and goes into the offside, rather deceiving everybody because the keeper and the slip are already on their way down towards fine leg, but the ball actually skewed in the opposite direction. Dunkley to 38 and England 49 without loss.
Yeah, thick outside edge there from Dunkley. It actually hits the bottom of the cricket bat and goes off into the offside.
Yeah, a little bit quicker and swing and a miss from Wyatt. No run, sort of like a snooker cue.
Yes. India have had a slip-in play for most of this over, and slip's just gone to the backward point.
Big swing into the leg side from the bat of Wyatt. It'll bounce a couple of times before reaching the hands of Dalan Hemalatha out at deep mid-wicket in front of a really good crowd actually. There's been a lot in. Plenty of support for India as well as England as the 50 comes up. 50 without loss. Dunkley on 38, Wyatt on 12.
It's been a lovely 50 partnership from these two. Danny Wyatt's only faced 12 deliveries of this first 7 overs.
Deep in the crease and pushing into the offside is Dunkley, who has, as you say, taken the majority of the strike. And after 7 overs, the score is 120. Well, target's 123. The score 51 without loss. Alex, thank you very much for the time being. Alex Hartley to be replaced by World Cup final player of the match in 2017, Anya Shrubsole. And this looks like it's following the same pattern as the first of these T20s, with England chasing down a moderate target and doing so with relative ease by the looks of it.
Yeah, it does. It's not quite the close game we were hoping for at the top of the programme, but England will be really pleased with the start, the way that these two have gone about it. They've put the India bowlers under pressure. I think India could have mixed things up more in the power play. It obviously worked really well for them at Derby, but I think if you don't pick up any wickets, to bowl the same 2 bowlers all the way through the power play is an interesting decision, to say the least.
Interesting. Feels rather loaded there. You just think that's just too predictable for a batting side?
I think if you're not taking any wickets, absolutely, and going for runs.
Dunkley waits on 39 and gives herself a little bit of space, looking for that gap on the offside, but won't find it because there's 3 inside the circle to save exactly that sort of shot. 51 without loss.
But I guess if you look around, if Radha Yadav isn't someone who wants to bowl in the power play, nor Snape Rana, then only looking probably at Vastraka. They are short of power play bowling options, so it's something India need to look at.
Snape Rana creeping in, bowling to Dunkley, who slashes that ball in the air. I think it'll land safely. It does. 2 fielders converging upon the ball, running around from extra cover and long off. And Dunkley just gets the single, so England moved to 52 without loss, and Wyatt will be on strike. It was an ambitious shot, that, from Dunkley. She didn't get nearly as much as she wanted on it. She has a little conversation with Wyatt Maybe this pitch isn't quite playing as true as it was. Here comes Rana into bowl to Danny Wyatt. Gives herself some space. Slaps that ball up towards long off for comfortably taken 1. 53 without loss.
Just a poor shot from Sophia Dunkley. She sometimes, when she looks to come down the ground, she collapses that back leg, which means that she struggles to get her hands through the ball as well as she would like.
53 without loss. Dunkley on 40, is giving herself some space, clipped up the ground towards long on. And we'll get another single. England at the moment just happy to keep on moving that scoreboard along, and knowing that with a required rate of under a run a ball, only just under, but 79 runs now needed, and 82 balls to do it. They can take their time with this. Sneh Rana creeping in, and Wyatt just chops that ball out towards the offside, where the fielding is not as clean as it might be, and a little fumble doesn't result in a run. It could have done, but Wyatt elects to go for the safety first approach. Nobody on the boundary behind square as Wyatt pulls the ball out towards deep backward square leg, and we'll pick up a single. 8 overs gone, 55 without loss. The crowd might just be feeling they could do with a few boundaries just to perk things up a bit.
Yeah, I think so. It's a relatively quiet over. I think Sneh Rana's a really, really canny operator. She varies her pace well. She has that ability, it seems, to kind of read the batter and almost be one step ahead. So she's a really canny operator, and Danny Wyatt's got a really good record against left arm spin, so she might be looking to target Radha Yadav here, and they've just got to take the runs that are on offer, and probably the more that India feel like they need to get wickets, the more they'll search, and I think that's when those boundary options will probably present themselves.
I did notice earlier when we were discussing the floodlight, Anya, as Radha Yadav comes into bowl, Dunkley and Wyatt continuing to build for England. It's Wyatt that helps the ball over the shoulder down towards the fine leg boundary. Running around to pick up is Sneh Rana, but not before 2 runs have been taken. 57 without loss. Alex actually somewhat confused her words and said that rather than the floodlight had been named after you, that you had been named after a floodlight. Which I love the idea that Gloucestershire might have had a floodlight called Anya Shrubsole.
Just anywhere in the world naming their floodlights.
Here comes Yadav bowling to Wyatt, deep in the crease, chopping that ball away. There's work for Vastrika to do, running around from deep cover. Does well, picking up and hurling that ball in, but again England run on through for 2 more runs. 59 without loss, almost halfway to their target now of 123. I always like sort of odd parts of grounds that are named after very significant cricketers. Here is Yadav bowling to Wyatt, who swings hard at that and misses, looking to play the ball into the leg side, like the Richard Hadley waiting area at Trent Bridge.
There should definitely be more of that.
Yeah.
There really should be.
Like, it's a matter of time for Old Trafford finds a good option for Alex. This is swung away out towards backward point. There won't be a run there. Dipti Sharma in the wide-brimmed hat will pick up, like the Alex Hartley fire escape.
Yeah, I was thinking fire escape or like a something of that nature.
Yeah. So you've got the Jimmy Anderson end. Here comes Yadav, tossing that ball up and swinging hard at the ball. Looks for some in the crowd like a catch, but it's into the ground first, and the over comes to an end with the score 59 without... No, forgive me, there's a ball left of it. I'm too used to the 100, you see, Anya.
5 balls is the way to go. It's much better. It is so much better.
Unless you have to bowl 10.
Yeah. By captain, so that doesn't happen very often.
No, of course you do. Wyatt will get one if she's quick here. Good pick up and throw from Dipti Sharma, and the ball slung in towards Radha Yadav rather painfully. She does well to take it cleanly. One of those where you anticipate this is going to hurt because the ball's coming at a rate of knots, but she does well to field. And the score is 60 without loss after 9 overs. Lisa Keightley makes a little note in her notebook in the England dugout, and we'll be saying goodbye to this England team soon. She's leaving, head back to Australia at the end of this series. Charlotte Edwards, incidentally, ruling herself out of contention to be the next England coach on television coverage earlier tonight. Are we going to say hashtag get Anja Shrubsole as the England head coach?
No.
No. What? You'd be brilliant.
I would not. I would not, I can tell you. Absolutely not. I think obviously I know Lottie very well, and I guess selfishly I'm happy that she'll be staying down at the Vipers and at the Brave and things like that, and she's obviously just decided it's not quite the right time for her. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that at some point she will coach England and she will be a brilliant coach, but she's obviously made the decision that it's not quite the right time for her now.
60 without loss, England chasing 123. We've had 9 overs and there'll be more runs there. Danny Wyatt slashing that ball behind square on the offside. There's a chase on for the fielder. The ball's slowing up. It won't quite reach the ropes as Thakur gets there. And the score moves forward, 63 without loss. The lesser spotted 3 from the bat of Wyatt, who moves to 22. It's an attractive job though, isn't it? Because exciting young team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, you're head coach of an international team that's had some success, and like you said, it's a time at the moment where you feel like we're in a real kind of transition period with this England team, with people retiring and all of those kind of things, and these exciting players coming along. So I think whoever does get the job, it's a really exciting time for them.
In comes Rana, helped round the corner by Dunkley. Nicely struck. The ball might win this race because Deepti Sharma's got a lot of work to do and can't get there. 4 runs from the batter Dunkley, who's now within 5 of a half century. England 67 without loss.
I think it's a time that we need to be really patient with this England team. I think in the next couple of years there's going to be some ups and some downs. There'll be some brilliant victories, I'm sure, but I think there's going to be a few losses along the way, and I think we've got to take that. For now, it's a young team, it's a developing team, and things aren't always going to go perfectly.
Sneh Rana bowling to Dunkley. Plays the ball off the face of the bat down towards deep third. More work to do for Renuka Singh Thakur, who gets there and picks up with another couple of runs taken. I think you're right, and in some ways this series has absolutely demonstrated that. One really good game at Durham, a slightly less impressive performance at Derby, and now another what looks like it'll be a dominant win.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if the ODIs went a bit like that as well. And what I do know is the players involved in these 2 series in particular are going to learn so much, but we as fans have got to take the rough with the smooth.
Dunkley's on 47. She'll get her 48th by a little prod down the ground, really, nothing more than that. Picked up in the distance by Radha Yadav with those flats beyond. There's a few hardy souls sitting on the balconies. Many more I can see. There's lots of lights on in living rooms. Just be watching through the windows. Here comes Sneh Rana to bowl to Danny Wyatt, who goes hard at that. It's in the air, heading down the ground, and the catch is taken. Radha Yadav with the safe hands, and Danny Wyatt has to go. 22 at a run a ball, and then the 23rd sees the wicket falling. 70 for 1. We've got a ball left of the 10th over, and finally India have the breakthrough.
India desperately needed that wicket. They needed something to give them a chance. Not sure how good an option that was from Danny Wyatt. Long on out there, mid-wicket out there, really straight as well. That gap that's often quite big out at deep mid-wicket was really quite small, so not sure it's the best option ever from Danny Wyatt, but India will hope that wicket can bring a couple more off the back of it and just try and put some pressure back on England, because it's been one-way traffic so far.
So Alice Capsey comes to the middle, 18 years old, only 18 a month or 2 ago, and joins the action, having been rather frustratingly, from her point of view, run out for just 4 at Derby. But prior to that, She'd been in excellent touch. 32 not out in the first game of the T20 series, and somebody that England will be, you'd have thought, relying on a reasonable amount in the next decade, or even longer than that. Dunkley pulling the ball into the leg side, again with that rather wristy stroke, just rolling the wrists on the ball and helping it out towards deep mid-wicket. 71 for 1, the target is 123. Anya Shrubsole, it's a question of when and not if England win this game, and then it'll be Melissa Story once again.
You would think so, given the position that they're in. 52 runs required, still 10 overs to go, 9 wickets in hand. You'd think it will be pretty easy for England from here on in. If they play this well, they play smart. India have still got a 5th bowler that they haven't bowled, so they're going to have to find that from somewhere. I think if England just keep taking the runs that are on offer, boundaries will come. Lots of 2s to be had on this boundary here at Bristol. It should be one-way traffic.
It should. At this stage, India 35 for 5.
Bit different,
half the current England score. These two, wow, Dunkley and White have gone about it just a slightly different approach, being positive against the early spin. And you'll expect Alice Capsey to do the same, yet to face a delivery as Dunkley's poised on 49. 1 shot away from that half-century. Here comes Radha Yadav, bowls to Dunkley, who cuts this straight to point, can't find a run there. Always the most tense moments when you're 1 run away. She has had a fantastic summer, Anya.
Yeah, she's had a brilliant summer. Obviously moved up to the top of the order in this T20 team by England.
Radha Yadav into Dunkley, who cuts this one straight to extra cover this time. They're keeping her waiting. Yadav bowling well here. Just conceded the 11 runs off 14 balls. 71 for 1 the score. Dunkley still searching for this precious run. Tucks that one round the corner straight to mid-wicket, sets off, but sent back by this Capsey, who did not move an inch at the non-striker's end. She was going, I know this run is important to you, but I'm not running myself out for it.
Not getting run out twice in 2 games either.
Yeah, she's not had the best of luck. So Radha Yadav bowls, and this time looking to swipe the ball from outside the off stump to the leg side. She misses. It's only 4 dots in a row now. Really is the nervous 40s. Doesn't quite have the same ring as the nervous 90s, but the frivolous 40s, maybe. Here comes Yadav, and just tickling this one round the corner as Dunkley thought she'd found the gap at square leg. But that time the keeper coming round to field and keep her on strike. So miraculously, either Dunkley will reach her 50 with this ball, or it could be a maiden in the middle of a T20. Dunkley just squats down, preparing this delivery, and has a big hoik and misses through to the keeper. And she looks almost in disbelief. That has been a maiden in the 11th over from Radha Yadav. And Sophia Dunkley remains on 49. It'll be Alice Capsey on strike for her first ball at the other end. I mean, that really is an accumulation of all the nerves. I think she's played about 4 different shots there, and none of them really looked quite right.
Yeah, I think that's you've hit the nail on the head there. The first 2 balls, she played the right shot, not able to get it through the field, and then she just thought, well, I'm just going to go to a completely different plan that didn't work. She just needed to keep doing what she was doing. But fortunately for England, they're in such a good position that it doesn't really matter. Might matter to Dunkley, but it doesn't really matter in the context of the game. And seeing India's 5th bowler come in here, and this might be an opportunity for England to score.
Alice Capsey just adjusts her gloves, preparing for her first delivery, which will be bowled by Vestrucker, who's got the best of 3 for 6 in T20 cricket. Now that would be pretty handy for India right now, but I think I remember seeing that Alice Capsey is going over to the Women's Big Bash this winter. Melbourne Stars?
Yes, she is going to Melbourne Stars, so it's a good signing for Melbourne Stars and a really great opportunity for someone so young to go and play in a tournament like that. I think for lots of reasons, just the cricket experience, the WBBL is obviously a great competition, going abroad for that long, and I think it will be a great tournament for her. I think the way she bats will suit Australian pitches, and yeah, Melbourne Stars have got a good one.
And escape the cold in the winter. She must like the Stars as well, because of course she plays for the South East Stars, now the Melbourne Stars, just because she is a star. Here comes Vastraka, and that's short and wide, cut away by Capsey, out to deep cover for the first ball of that over. She gets off the mark immediately. 72 for 1 the score, 51 needed from 53. And we've seen in the past when England have been encountering these low run chases, they're in a comfortable position, that they just haven't really stopped. They don't want to use the full 20 deliveries, they just want to keep going and get this game over and done with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the way they want to play. It's wanting to be more positive. That's why we have Dunkley up the top of the order. All of those kind of things. It's the way they want to play their T20 cricket. So they won't want to take this too far into the game. They'll keep looking for boundaries, keep looking for runs, and get it done as quick as possible.
Now another chance for Dunkley here. She waits on 49 and she's bowled a big swing across the line. She is absolutely livid with herself. She'd faced 6 dots in the previous over, trying to find that single which would move her onto her half century, but she's gone playing an ugly shot. Vastraka makes the breakthrough for India. An important wicket. We were just saying how England are going to keep advancing, try and make this run chase easy, but that is a big blow for England. And I don't think Sophia Dunkley will be wanting to watch that replay at all.
No, that was a pretty horrible shot from Sophia Dunkley. You wonder how much the last over was still playing on her mind. Not a lot, really, on the ball. It was cross-seam delivery from Pooja Vastraka and a pretty ugly heave from Sophia Dunkley.
She goes for 49 from 44 balls. And it brings Amy Jones to the crease, England's captain. Will be... I mean, this is a great chance for Amy Jones here to come out, hopefully lead her side to a victory. And it's a bit strange because I've seen quite a lot recently about Amy Jones's batting form in T20s, but she's actually had a really good time of it recently. If you look at her averages across the last 3 years of competition, she's been averaging in those high 20s, 30s, a healthy strike rate. She finds the boundaries well, from the 119 strike rate. And I guess, you know, it feels like she's been around for a while, 76 matches, but when she's so often so far down the order, she's not actually facing that many deliveries, and she has to come in at the end, and I'd have to sacrifice her wicket for the greater good of the team. But she's got a real chance here, batting at 4, to guide her team to victory. She's on strike to Vastraka, who's bowling a full delivery, driven through the covers for a single. She gets off the mark. And I mean, she's the best keeper around, Amy Jones. Watching her is... you feel privileged to be able to see some of those takes she does down the leg side, the stumpings. Maybe just this opportunity to bat a bit higher up the order. Probably do wonders. The responsibility of captaincy as well.
Yeah, you hope so. I think I would say she probably hasn't quite got the most out of the talent that she has with the bat across both formats for England, particularly in the last couple of years. But obviously she's an outstanding keeper, but the bottom line is your currency is runs, so if she can get a kind of 20 not out here, that would be very good for her.
Vastraka bowls to Capsey, who's punching that off the back foot out towards deep cover. They're running hard here, and Jones is coming back regardless. Alice Capsey hadn't moved. She's waiting for the call from her partner, turned around and was face to face with an Amy Jones running at her full pelt. She's come back for 2. Capsey moves on to 3, 75 for 2, 48 more runs needed, 50 balls, and Capsey just tightens those straps on her pads after running that 2, because, well, I'm not sure she was expecting that at all.
No, but I think she should be. I think that's brilliant running from Amy Jones. Maybe a little bit of ball watching from Alice Capsey there, but luckily Jones pulled her through.
Vastraka charging in, bowls a back of a length slower ball, which Capsey has left, probably thinking that was a wide. It was within the wide line, and we even had umpire Sue Redfern there checking that it was below the head height, which I think because she took pace off it. But did she not? It was 68 miles per hour. Maybe just one which died in the pitch a bit. Gets a bit sticky out there, and she's a tall bowler. Bangs it in hard into the surface. She comes in again to Capsey, slower ball, maybe pulled away out to deep mid wicket, just for a single, shorter ball I should say, rather than slower ball. It's quite hard to judge now, when I do think the pitch maybe is just getting a bit stickier, at least it's sticky in this over.
I think those ones that are kind of banged into the pitch definitely are India seeming to decide to go with some sort of short ball ploy to Alice Capsey, which I'm not sure is the best idea. It's not the way I'd be going at her early in the innings, but yeah, those shorter deliveries do seem to stick in the pitch a little bit more.
I mean, you've played against Alice Capsey a lot. How would you go against bowling at her at the start of the innings? You can't shrug. That's not good radio. You've got to at least say, I don't know.
I think early in the innings, I think you've got to target her front pad, target her stumps. I don't think she always gets back into the ball, gets that front foot back into the ball particularly well when she first comes in, so that's definitely what I'd be doing. I think lots of changes of pace. She obviously wants to come really hard at you, so that's where your kind of changes of pace come in as well.
Well, India have plenty of protection down the ground. If Alice Capsey does come hard at them, she's got a deep cover, mid-off, or long off, a deep mid-wicket, deep square. Radha Yadav there just came in, but Alice Capsey pulled out, so we'll redo that delivery. Here she comes. Final over of her spell. It's a full ball driven by Capsey down to long off, where Shivani Verma fields for a single. 46 more runs needed, 47 balls remaining. The crowd here enjoying this game where England, you would say, are suitably on top, but things change quickly in T20 cricket. Jones just taking her guard. And Yadav's bowling figure's exceptional so far. 3.1 overs, just the 12 runs from it. And of course that maiden before. Maiden in the T20. And that's something you go home and tell your parents about.
Especially in the middle of a T20. It was against the batter on 49. It was, not something that happens very often.
She comes in again, past the umpire, bowling to Jones, who's in defence, pushing back to her for no run. And after that first T20 at Chesterley Street, where Radha Yadav did slip in the outfield, she was taken off the pitch. Harmanpreet Kaur did say, we weren't happy with the conditions because it wiped out one of our best bowlers, and she has proven today just how valuable she is to this Indian lineup.
I must say, I don't think that was to do with the conditions. I think it was a dive that she landed slightly awkwardly, so I think it would be unfair to blame the conditions for that one.
Radha Yadav bowls to Amy Jones, who tries to give herself some room but drives to the fielder at extra cover for no run. Yeah, I mean, for me, I thought it was a brilliant tactic to fall over early on and get to go sit in the warm changing room, not out there in the middle. I'm sure Radha Yadav definitely didn't have those motivations, but I know I would. Straight a ball which paddled over the shoulder of Jones, so fine that it just squeezed past the stumps, and it's slowing up before the boundary rope here. Fielder in pursuit allows England to get back for 2 runs. Jones moves on to 3. And that one, well, was remarkably close. She stepped over into the offside, giving herself some room, and the ball was a matter of mere inches away from clattering into the stumps. And that would have been another England wicket where they probably wouldn't have wanted to see the replay of that. I do wonder if Sophia Dunkley's still recovering in the dugout from that shot of hers, as that's bowled her. Jones gone through the gate. What a celebration from Radha Yadav. She goes down on one knee, punches the air. That is absolutely massive for India. England still need 44 from 43 balls, but now 3 wickets down. And Amy Jones there, looking at this replay, Anya, she's just missed a straight one, really.
Yeah, pretty much. It looks like she's trying to access that offside, and it's just kind of slid between bat and pad and into off stump.
Well, Bryony Smith will be the new batter who's striding out to the middle, joining Alice Capsey, 2 batters who are used to playing together for the South East Stars. But Amy Jones, a bizarre dismissal for the England captain. Maybe they're just those 2 dots prior. She was looking to just squeeze the ball maybe a bit squarer, again trying to drive. She picked up the 2 from the previous ball. I feel as if in the situation England were in, didn't require anything urgent, but maybe all that movement around the crease actually just threw her off, so when she got the straight ball it bamboozled her a bit. But a great opportunity here for Bryony Smith as Radha Yadav bowls to her, and she's in defence, punching off the back foot to mid-off for no run. And Smith, one of those players who obviously was within the England setup, a while ago, and she's come back in, and it's a little similar to Alice Davison-Richards, and a great second opportunity for her to get involved. But obviously for the domestic setup, she bats at the top of the order. There seems to be a lot of openers at the moment for England. I think you've got Emma Lamb as well, who's an option. So how, as a player, do you readjust your role if you're used to batting and now she's coming in at 5, 6, 7 almost?
Yeah, I guess it is a different game. You've got 4 fielders out to contend with, so especially on an outfield like this, it will be about getting the ball out into the outfield, running your twos, trying to manipulate the field so you can, I guess, bring up boundary riders where you then want to hit it, and all of those kind of things. So it's a different role for Bryony Smith, but it'd be good to see how she goes here.
She'll be relishing the opportunity, but for now, Vastrika into Capsey, a straighter ball which she's effortlessly clipped off her legs for 4 out towards deep mid-wicket. And I mean, really does show the summer Alice Capsey has had. The last 2 summers Alice Capsey has had where she's been in the limelight, I've just never seen a shot really look that easy.
Yeah, she does make batting look easy at times, that is for sure. Just the confidence she has and that kind of presence she has at the crease is what's as impressive as the shots that she plays. She just looks so comfortable and at home in international cricket.
83 for 3, 40 more runs needed for England, 41 balls left. Vastrika into Capsey, who's almost chopping that one on. She had no idea where the ball had gone in the end, kicks her bat in frustration. She was looking to run it just down to deep third, you feel. But it was an inside edge which actually went through the legs. It was the nutmeg, but not quite executed.
Definitely a poor nutmeg. It's quite a poor shot from Capsey, no foot movement. Kind of a nothing shot, really. The best she was ever going to get from it was 1.
Vastrika waits at the top of her mark, and in now past the umpire to Capsey. Bowls a slower delivery which is just pushed back to her. She fields off her own bowling. A diving stop, always difficult for those fast bowlers to get down. She's playing a good role here, Vastrika. 1 for 9 off her 1.3 overs so far. She's got a bit of extra pace on her, but that one running the fingers over the ball, just stuck in the surface a bit more. Capsey's going to have to find some foot movement here against Vastrika, so doesn't get stuck in the crease almost. Here she comes again, bowls a back of a length ball which Capsey swats away in front of square. There's protection out there, gets around, and they settle on just the single. 84 for 3. The runs required now for England goes below 40. And at this stage, we spoke earlier about how deep England bat. I mean, how many more wickets for India would they need to maybe have England in a tricky situation?
I still think if they get 1 or 2 more here, it just puts the pressure is on England. India have managed to kind of swing the momentum of this game. Another wicket or so here would really make it tricky.
A shorter ball from Vastrika, which Bryony Smith doesn't have to duck underneath at all. It's been called 1 for the over by umpire Sue Redfern. I think that was probably maybe a good few foot over Bryony Smith.
I'm all for a bit of leniency for the bowlers, but this seemed quite some way over her head.
She debated swerving, but she didn't really need to. I think she could have jumped and it wouldn't have hit her. But Vastrika gets away with that one. Dot ball, bowls to Smith, who pulls this one out to deep forward square. Will collect a single. She gets off the mark. 85 for 3. 38 more runs needed. 36 balls remaining. Anya Shrubsole depart us for now. It won't be long before she's back. And of course you can watch the highlights of this game later tonight on BBC Two at 11:15 or on iPlayer. If you're missing some of the action or just want to watch it all again, as this game gets down to the latter stages. 36 balls left. Alex Hartley rejoins me.
Hello. Well,
two youngsters out in the middle.
Yeah, going to be an exciting finish, isn't it? Told you these low-scoring thrillers are always a thing.
I mean, we had the 100 final, the men's 100 final.
Oh, that was
a low-scoring thriller, that one.
That was. You almost sensed that Manchester shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Maybe in another universe. There's a nice shiny H trophy in the Manchester dressing room. Here comes Sneh Rana, and that one's punched off the back foot by Smith. It gets a bit high on her. She can only push it to extra cover for no run.
You almost sense this is a really important innings from Bryony Smith. I don't know if Anya's spoken about it, but brought back into the England setup and struggled for runs as of late.
Sneh Rana jumps into the crease and bowls a low full toss, which Smith can only push back to her. Missed out on that one just a little bit. She's got a big smile on her face because she probably knows it. 85 for 3. But we were speaking about how she's, of course, playing a different role to what she's used to, and it's always going to be a bit difficult to adjust when you're used to opening and then you're thrown in the middle overs, as she swats this one away down to long off. They get through for a single. 86 for 3.
Yeah, it is two completely different things, you know, opening the batting, power play, only 2 fielders out, and then coming in the middle order.
I guess it's difficult as well because she wanted to occupy that batter with a bit of spin spot, but Alice Capsey probably snuck in there a bit before her, and suddenly if you think of a full strength side with Nat Siver and Heather Knight as well, it probably pushes Bryony Smith out the pitch at the moment. But that's a nice reverse sweep from Capsey, who pivots on that one, clears the bound. Well, it doesn't clear the boundary. What am I trying to say? It goes for 4. We'll say it goes for 4. 37 more runs needed then for England. 33 more runs needed from 32 balls. That hadn't updated in front of us.
It's a lovely shot from Capsey. She switches her feet around and plays the reverse sweep where a short third would be. She plays the shot incredibly well, and it's quite a brave delivery. That ball would have hit off stump, but it's that risk and reward in T20 cricket.
Rana bowls a fuller, slower delivery, which Capsey dismisses down the ground to long on. She gets through for a single, and it's really intelligent batting you see from her as well, of finding that boundary, then just getting off the strike. And she's got those powerful shots, but she's also a wise cricketer out there in the middle, wise beyond her years. So Rana bowls, and this one's hit down the ground by Smith, just evading the outstretched hands of Rana, and the stumps in fact. It was hit that straight. But England in the position now, 31 needed, 30 balls left in this innings. I mean, 1 or 2 more wickets, Alex, and it opens this game up nicely.
It really does, as Melissa's going to swap out for Henry Moran. If India can just sneak a couple more wickets, it really does open the game up. You're into that middle order of England. And we've seen Freya Kemp in the previous game bat really, really well to get England up to a decent total, but wasn't enough. They were probably 10 shy at Durham. No, not at Durham, at Derby.
Not at Durham, at Chester Street.
Yes.
We've been told up for that. We've said it has to be Chester Street, not Durham.
I got my D's mixed up.
Oh, it happens, that. Yeah. So England, 92 for 3. They've got 5 overs to get 31 runs. So 31 from 30 balls with 7 wickets in hand is very much in hand. But a couple of wickets, as Melissa says, that makes things awkward.
It really does. You're into the middle order of England. I keep talking about it. It's a really important innings from Bryony Smith, but can't emphasise it enough because it is.
Thakur bowling. Smith jams that ball into the ground. That'll be a dot ball. Well, it should have been a dot ball. It will be. There was a rather appalling piece of fielding at extra cover, letting the ball through the legs, but there is a fielder backing up.
Because in the back of your mind, or you know, Bryony might sit in a room after a game and think, well, we've got 5 T20s in the West Indies coming up, we've got World Cup coming up.
Bryony Smith whips that ball away for 4. Stepping across the stumps and helping that ball round the corner. The fielder won't get there. Shefali Verma, try as she might, can't stop it. And a little thumbs up from Bryony Smith to the non-striker's end. And it's, as you say, moments like this in a career, if you can get a side over the line, it shows more than just your batting ability. It shows heart and spirit.
It does. That's a lovely shot as well. The ball angling down the leg side, she just whips it around the corner. And she is a calm player, Bryony Smith. She's good enough to be out there. We all know that as pundits. She just needs to prove to herself, and she'll know she's good enough to be there. There's a reason she's been picked.
Slashed at by Smith, and she will only get a single because Radha Yadav can pick up as the ball drops gently towards Backward point, 97 for 3, 26 needed from 27 deliveries. Capsey's on 15. And as Anya Shrubsole departed, saw Alice Capsey playing a reverse sweep before, she just muttered, she just seems to do whatever she wants, that girl.
She's so calm under pressure.
Capsey waits. Gives herself some room, lofts the ball in the air. Well, she's calm under pressure, but has she found a fielder? No, it's been put down. And it perhaps should have been taken by Dayalan Hemalata at deep cover. She got there, and the ball just about evaded her. It was a risky shot, that, actually, from Capsey.
Yeah, she's looking to go up and over extra cover, and it's a drop catch out in the deep. Should have been taken. Not even a hand on it. It bounces for 4. It's a huge blow, that, for India. Capsey's the key wicket. We just talked about how calm she is under pressure. She's just a little bit inside out with that shot there.
Capsey waiting. A low full toss is clubbed out towards wide long on. Fielder runs around to pick up. It's the energetic Vastrika out there to save the boundary, but England suddenly need 21 from 25.
It makes such a difference. Drop catch that goes for 4. That extra pressure. Capsey just shrugged the shoulders and went, oh well, keep going.
Well, that's the thing, you need to have that sort of attitude, don't you? It's Smith on strike, the long sleeves, hitting that ball square on the offside. More work for the fielder out there in the deep. This time it's collected cleanly. And England need 20 from the final 4 overs.
Should be England's game. I think Bryony Smith playing a good knock with Capsey here. She's 8 off 11, but all she really needs to do is keep getting Capsey on strike. England can do this in singles as well, but when you've got the likes of Alice Capsey out there, you're thinking she's probably going to do it with boundaries.
20 from 24. We spoke about if you were to have a part of a ground named after you earlier, Alex.
Yes.
David in the email, tms@bbc.co.uk, says surely it'd have to be the Alex Hartley ice cream van. Sneh Rana to bowl to Bryony Smith. Slaps that ball towards cover, where it's fielded by Harmanpreet Kaur.
So it's the obvious answer, isn't it? The Alex Hartley ice cream van. The only thing with that is they move. And it's not a permanent thing.
No.
And if you're going to be named something at a ground, I want it to be permanent. I don't want it to be a moving object.
Capsey meets that on the full and hammers it into the leg side. Fielder running round, does really well. Radha Yadav's an excellent fielder and has quite a lot of work to do at long on. And prevents the boundary, just 2. England needs 17 from 22 balls.
She's been the outstanding fielder throughout this series, as Yadav. She's constantly putting her body on the line, putting dives out in the deep. Brilliant stop again from her.
Sneh Rana taken 1 wicket so far in the innings. Been quite expensive. Bowling to Capsey, who tries that reverse sweep again, and a juggling take from Rika Ghosh. Saw that ball miss the top of off stump by only a fraction.
And Alice Capsey practices the reverse sweep again, and instead of playing it down into the floor, she practices actually hitting it up and over backward point. And with that shot, we've seen short fine go to short third to stop Capsey playing the reverse sweep.
Sneh Rana bowling to Alice Capsey, who again meets it on the full and hammers it through the offside. That's going to be a boundary and take England to 13 from 20. Capsey's playing a match-winning knock here. She's 26 from 16 balls.
A full toss outside the off stump. You can't be bowling those. Yes, Capsey gave herself room. It's a wonderful shot. When your team's under pressure, you need dot balls. You can't afford to be bowling full tosses outside the off stump when all your fielders are on the leg side and straight deep.
Capsey looking to try and scoop the ball down towards fine leg. Gets a toe end on it and it just drops towards Mandana in the leg side. 111 for 3. England need 12 from 90.
Capsey, the more and more I see her, the more and more impressed I am. I think she's a wonderful cricketer. 18 years old. sort of makes you feel sick.
Sneh Rana to Bryony Smith, hits that away into the offside. He's going to head out towards the boundary, but Shafali Verma will pick up and spins as she throws that ball in. 10 needed from 18. So 3 overs left. England need just 10 for victory to seal not a win only in this game but also in the series. Highlights of the match available for you to watch and enjoy on BBC Two later on this evening from 11:15. The ODI series starts on Sunday. 3 more matches for you. And that we'll see. First game live from Hove.
Hove, Canterbury and Lords.
On air 10:45 on BBC Sounds and 5 Sports Extra. Lords to finish the summer.
Looking forward to that
That's
one.
quite a thing, isn't it? 10 needed from 18 balls is the equation. 113 for 3 the score. You can see Vastrika bowling from the Ashley Down Road end of the ground. Hair spiked up. Quick bowler. And quick bowlers can often offer opportunity for boundaries. Capsey won't find one there though. Chopping into the ground and into the gloves of Rika Ghosh. David's been back in touch and says, okay, the Alex Hartley clamped ice cream van.
Yeah, that's
So,
good.
I think
What if you slash the tyres of the
Yeah.
ice cream van?
well, you can be a bit of a letdown.
Tie it to the floodlight.
To the Anya Shroff's floodlight. Capsey on 27. Flicks that ball into the leg side. We'll get 1 run. The fielder sprinting to pick up. Smriti Mandana. Wide long on will prevent the 4, but it is 2, so just potentially 2 blows away from victory here, England. 8 from 16 balls.
Alice Capsey, 29 off just 19 deliveries.
If you were an ice cream van, you could go to every ground though. You could be a permanent fixture at every venue.
No, I think I want to be a permanent fixture at one venue,
Old Trafford.
obviously.
Here is Vastrika bowling an extraordinary attempted scoop from Capsey that she doesn't get right at all. And it drops just in front of her, having struck the pad.
Does depend how my 100 career goes. Could be at Sophia Gardens in Cardiff.
Could be. We bowled very well there this year.
Did love playing for the Welsh Fire and in Cardiff. It was good fun despite the results.
8 needed from 15 balls. Vastrika running in round the wicket. It's going to be another dot ball that. This is a useful little bit of pressure building. This could have made more of an impact if this was 2 overs ago or so, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's been brilliant from Vastrika. She's just bowling wide Yorkers, trying to hit that wide line, and we can see the short third fielder is so fine in case Capsey does get that nick, which would fly down to the deep third boundary. It's really clever bowling, and if Capsey could step across to the offside, she could counteract that from Vastrika.
Capsey on 29. Hits the ball down the ground. It's got a little bit of fade on it, and it'll drop 2 or 3 yards short of Harmanpreet Kaur. Straight long off. Capsey to 30. England needs 7 from 13. Well struck from Alice Capsey, but it doesn't bring the 4 she was looking for. It was like when you miss time a drive in golf. It just faded away towards the fielder. Bryony Smith is on strike. Well, that's a good looking shot. There's more work for the fielder at wide long off. This could be too much for Harmanpreet Kaur. No, she will get round and pick up one-handed, but again, this England duo back for 2. 118 for 3, 5 needed from 12.
As soon as Bryony Smith hit that shot, it was felt like it was going to go for 4 up and over extra cover, but it just slowed down as it got to the boundary, and England are really strong, are in a really strong position here. It's been a good run chase. You feel Sophia Dunkley, Amy Jones almost gave their wickets away, but Capsey Smith, and Capsey in particular, has been really impressive.
Change of bowling for India at the Bristol Pavilion end, number 6,
Deepti Sharma's going to bowl the penultimate over. England will want to get this done within this over. They'll expect to get it done within this over as well. 5 from 12 needed.
Anything can happen if it gets to the last over. That's where things get a little nervy. So England will want this done within this 6 balls. Only 5 runs needed.
So Dipti Sharma tossing the ball from one hand to the other. Looking to bowl to Alice Capsey with 5 needed. Oh, it's a filthy ball. Full toss. Hammered round the corner. 4 runs. England go to within 1 of the win.
Not ideal that from Dipti Sharma. Full toss, angling down the leg side. Capsey capitalises, crunches the ball past short fine leg. England now only need 1 run to win, and they're going to check the no ball. Oh, it could be close, but I think it's just been signalled that it was dipping below Alice Capsey's waist.
Had it been a no ball, that would have been it.
That would have been it.
We wouldn't even have the fun of the free hit. You'd want it though, wouldn't you? Come on, can have another go. So Dipti Sharma with England needing 1 from 11. They're 122 for 3. Capsey's on strike on 34. And there it is, victory for England. 4 more runs behind square on the leg side for the bat of the prodigious talent that is Alice Capsey, 18 years old. She finishes on 38. England win by 7 wickets. Back-to-back boundaries to get the job done. And after a victory at Chester the Street, defeat at Derby, and then a blitz at Bristol, England win by 7 wickets.
It's been a good game for England. India were always playing catch-up when they lost 3 wickets inside the power play. They only had 20 runs on the board. It was always going to be tough for them to get up to a decent score, but they did. They got up and above a run a ball, 122 on the board. It was always going to be a case of you have to take wickets to win this game. England had that 50 opening partnership between Wyatt and Dunkley, put them in the driving seat, and then Alice Capsey doing exactly what she does best, just not feeling pressure out there. She's got so much confidence. 38 of just 24 deliveries. And India, they'll feel like they should have been better today, and England, they were absolutely clinical in the end.
Real deal, Alice Capsey.
Oh, do you know what? She is, for me, the best talent I've seen for a long time in English cricket.
She's shaking hands with some of the India players that will be disappointed, having fought their way back into the series with that win at Derby. And in the end, England too strong in this match, and this will be a real boost to England as well, because they're missing Siva, Knight, Brunt. So this is a real boost. Yeah,
it will indeed, and it'll just give, I think it'll give English cricket a bit of confidence that the domestic structure's working as well, because these younger girls that are coming in, they're all under the age of 20, they've come through that domestic structure. They've been the ones that have been playing regional cricket for the last couple of years. They've been given this opportunity and they've taken it. You know, we've seen the likes of Maya Bouchier, Sarah Glenn, she's played a couple of years, Freya Kemp, Lauren Bell, Alice Capsey, Izzy Wong, Bryony Smith. You know, Bryony Smith, yes, she made her debut a while back, but she went back to domestic cricket. She now found herself back in the England side. And I think even though England haven't had their big guns, they'll take a lot of confidence that English cricket is in a good place.
Alex Hartley, thank you very much indeed. Alex will be back, part of our team at Hove on Sunday for the start of the one-day international series. Commentary and coverage begins at 10:45 on 5 Sports Extra and online on BBC Sounds. Highlights of this game available this evening from 11:15 on BBC Two, and there'll also be highlights available during the ODI series as well. 123 was the England target, and they got there with relative ease. They lost 3 wickets along the way, with Dunkley making 49, Wyatt 22 and Amy Jones just 3, but in the end Capsey's unbeaten 38 and Bryony Smith making 13, enough for England to chase down their target with almost 2 overs to spare. Sophie Eccleston picked up 3 wickets in the first innings, and England win this series by 2 matches to 1.